20-year-old receptionist Adriana Arias is suing former friend, 22-year-old chef Nicholas Arrieta, for stealing money from her bank account.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 189 on the calendar in the matter of Arias versus Arrieta. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. You okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Have seats, please.
Miss Arias, for some reason only known to you and those nearest and dearest to you and some being up there, you were dumb enough to give the defendant your ATM card and your PIN number. He is neither related to you by blood or marriage, correct?
Correct.
And it is your claim that without your permission, because you gave it to him for one thing, because he needed gas for his car and he didn't have any money, and without your knowledge and permission, he emptied out your bank account and just kept using your card, and you want your money back.
Yes.
Mr. Arrieta says that he did in fact take money out of your ATM, using your ATM card, and he took money out of your bank account, and he took it out to pay for a variety of things, and he did it with your permission, because you gave him the card and said, whatever you need, just don't shake your head, please, whatever you need, here's my card, and you can take it out. That's your position, is that right, Mr. Arrieta?
Yes, it is.
And how much money did you in fact take out of her ATM?
I believe it was around $750 and up, could have been.
700, did you understand what he said after $750?
And up it could have been.
And up it could have been. Up it could have been. Is that some sort of language that I'm not aware of?
Could have been more.
It could have been more. That I do understand.
Okay.
How much money did he withdraw from your bank account?
A total of $1,103. 104, I'm sorry. With 33 cents.
$1,104.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Arrieta, he's not exactly sure. He said it could have been $750 and up from there.
Yeah. Well, he pulled out a bunch of receipts. He should know.
First, I'd like you to tell me how you know him.
We've been friends for about 6 years now. We went to high school together since freshman year. We've never had problems, always got along just fine. There's times where we don't see each other, times we do run into each other.
I don't need a whole story.
Yeah.
That's how you've been friends.
Yeah, we've been friends.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a receptionist at a hospital.
How long have you been employed as a receptionist at a hospital?
For about 10 months now.
And you have a responsible job?
Yeah.
You go to work every day?
Sure.
And you take your paycheck and you pay your bills?
Yes.
Put your money in your account? You went to the bank and opened up a checking account? Is that right?
Yes.
And they gave you a secret PIN number? And they were very careful when they gave you a secret PIN number, you know. They made you go like this,
Yeah.
you know, so that the lady who was, or man who was giving you the PIN number, they couldn't see what you were doing?
Yeah.
Now tell me why you were dumb enough to give Mr. Arrieta your ATM card and your PIN number?
Basically,
Not basically. Tell me exactly.
The reason
When?
why.
Yes.
The reason why is because he had called saying that, you know, he and my sister here had a previous relationship where she had a kid out of the relationship and a paternity test was never done. Now, he won a settlement. He was in an accident a while ago. He won a settlement and he called on the 19th saying, I have the money now. I want to pay for this, you know, the blood test to get done, the paternity test. So when he called, he didn't have the money. He had to go pick it up at his lawyer's office. And when he called me, it's because he needed the money to put gas in his car to get there, which was out of town.
So he came over to your house?
No, I was at work. But he came to my house because he had previously tried to borrow my sister's credit card.
And did you tell him when you want him to return the card?
I told him to return it that same evening when I got out of work, which he agreed because he was going to come by.
All right, Mr. Arrieta, now I'd like to hear your version of the events, sir.
Well, I've known the defendant
I want you to.
I've known the defendant for several years, as she explained. I did have relations with her sister. It wasn't
I'm not interested about her sister and your relations with her sister.
The day that I asked for the card, I went to her sister. Her sister gave me a card which didn't work. It was declined. And then so...
What did you go to her sister's house for? To get a card for what?
To get a card for... I told her I needed some money, that I had no money for the weekend. So she said, well, I'll give you some money. Because my thinking was because she thinks...
I don't care what you were thinking, sir.
Well, I asked her for some money.
I don't think that you think.
I asked her for some money, and she was willing to give me some money. Her card declined. That's when I called her and I told her.
Called who?
Called Priscilla.
Put your hand down. When did you call her?
I called her. I never had to call her. Priscilla had told me to go straight to her work, that her sister was willing to give me the card.
When you got there, did you see Adriana?
Yes, I did.
And tell me exactly what happened when you saw Adriana.
When I saw her, she smiled at me, gave me a hug. Hey, how you been? I miss you. It's been a long time. Spoke for a little bit about things, and then...
No, tell me what you spoke about.
We spoke about her nephew, which she claims to be my son.
No, what did you say and what did you say?
I said hello. She said hello back. And that was basically...
I want you to think hard.
For the card?
No, think hard. Think hard. You said hi, she said hi, gave you a big hug, and then she said what?
She didn't say nothing. I asked her how her job was going.
And she said?
She said it was going great. She works at the eye doctor.
And then you said?
I came over here to get the card that your sister told me to get because hers declined. She gave me her card and her PIN number.
Mm-hmm. And then where did you go?
Immediately after that, I went to go get repairs for my truck. Went to get a cell phone.
What, are you an idiot? Are you stupid?
No.
What?
No.
Do you come from a long line of idiots?
No, I didn't.
What?
No.
What kind of work do you do?
Me? I don't work. I'm
Me.
a chef.
Me.
Me?
I know what I do for a living. I know what he does for a living. I want to know what you do for a living. I don't want to know what this idiot does for a living because he can't keep a straight face. I want to know what you do for a living.
I'm a part-time chef.
So that means you work in a restaurant?
I work voluntarily sometimes here and there for
You work
weddings.
voluntarily, so who takes care of you?
I'm sorry?
What word don't you understand, Mr. Arias, that I just said?
Can you repeat the question?
Who takes care of you?
I live with my parents.
How old are you?
22.
What does your father do?
He's a machinist.
And your mother?
She doesn't work. She's a housewife.
And you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I do.
How old are they?
My brother's 26. My sister's 23.
Is your brother living at home?
No, he's not.
What does it mean? Are you thinking of the answers?
Yeah, because sometimes he
try
tries
not to think. Try not to think of the answers. Try just to tell the truth.
Yes, he does.
Good. He lives out of the house.
Yes.
And your sister?
She also lives out of the house.
Lives out of the house. She's 23.
Correct. 23.
All right. And is she married?
No.
Is she working?
Yes.
What kind of work does she do?
She works as a receptionist for a doctor.
And how long has she been living out of the house?
6 years.
And your other brother? How long has he been living out of the house?
4 years.
So the only one that can't get their act together is you.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why you would want to tie yourself to this idiot for forever by forcing him to have a paternity test, I will never know whether he is the father, whether he's not the father. The guy's a jerk.
And later today,
Where's the phone?
We don't have it anymore. She said that we were not going to get the phone back, that she got to the phone before we did, and that he's dead.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Adriana Arias says former friend Nicholas Arrieta used her ATM card to steal from her account. Nicholas says he had permission to take the money.
Now, you take from your parents. You consider that their responsibility to support you. Is that right?
No, that's not the way I feel.
Well, then why do you continue to take from them?
I don't take from them.
Of course you do.
No.
Do you pay for the electricity in the house?
If I have money, I will pay for it.
How do you have money if you don't work? Is not an answer.
Part-time.
Part-time work.
When I do part-time chef, when I do cooking, sometimes
when
for
was
weddings.
When was the last time you did part-time
2 weeks
work?
ago.
For whom?
For a friend.
Friend's name, telephone number.
George.
George what? And what kind of cooking did you do for George? What is his phone number?
Should I give you the whole food meal, the course of what I cooked?
What kind of work did you do for him at a
I
restaurant?
cooked. No, I
Where?
cooked. At his home.
Oh, you went to his house?
Yep.
Why you would want him declared the father of a goldfish, I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue.
My son's 4 now, so it was
What?
a long time ago.
Yeah, but why you would want to tie yourself to this idiot for forever by forcing him to have a paternity test? I will never know whether he is the father, whether he's not the father. As far as I'm concerned, you made a mistake. Write it off. Write it off. The guy's a jerk. However, he's a jerk that owes your sister $1,104. Judgment of the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I called him and you know, I'll call you back, I'll call you back. Never called back, so I kind of figured something was up.
It was a gift, so why should I pay her back?
He's basically worthless. He has nothing going for himself, and he brought this upon himself.
I screamed for him to get off my son's leg, and he just looked at me.
When I did hear him, I did stop. That's why I didn't run over the child.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Shrek versus Hagar. Step forward, please.
26-year-old employment specialist Catherine Schreck is suing her former lover, railroad conductor Brian Hager, for an unpaid loan to get back on his feet.
Miss Schreck, the defendant used to be your boyfriend. According to you, you made a loan to him in the amount of $1,000. Mr. Hager says that you did, in fact, give him $1,000. It was just that, a gift, not a loan. When was this $1,000 check, and it was a check, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Given to Mr. Hager?
The check was written on January 22nd, 2002, and it was cashed on January 24th, 2002.
Tell me the circumstances of the check, Ms. Schreck.
He was unemployed at the time.
Tell me of the circumstances of the check.
The check.
Ms. Schreck.
Okay. Mr. Hager was unemployed at the time, and he was also experiencing other financial hardships. And
how long had you been dating him at the time?
Approximately 3 weeks. He had disclosed that his ex-girlfriend was possibly pregnant and that he was the father. At that point, I had determined that I did not want to further the relationship beyond a friendship. However, I felt bad for him at the situation that he was in at the time. He had expressed that he was waiting for his tax return to come in.
Just a second. So if his ex-girlfriend thought she was pregnant, what did that have to do with money?
He didn't need money for that. It was just added stress in his life.
Who cares?
I cared. He was my friend at the time. I felt bad.
What were you doing?
I'm a facilitator for San Bernardino Jobs and Employment Services Department. I teach welfare recipients how to get jobs.
Good. Oh, you should have taught him. What kind of work were you doing at the railroad, sir?
I'm a conductor.
And you were let go?
No, ma'am. I was just laid off temporarily due to a slowdown.
For how long?
6 months.
And what did you do during that 6-month period?
Things are hard everywhere, so I just I collected railroad unemployment. Which
how much?
It's $1,000 a month.
And where were you living?
I own a home.
And you have a mortgage?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the mortgage?
Mortgage was $1,700.
So you were really short. Where'd you get the other money from? Did you have savings?
Yes, ma'am. I had money saved up in my bank account.
Now, you tell her that you're having some financial difficulties, and so what did you do?
So I offered to give him a loan.
What did you say to him? What did he say to you?
I said, my father just gave me $1,000 for Christmas. I just received my student financial aid. I don't need it at the time, but I will need it in several months. He said that he was expecting his tax return, and as soon as he got that, he would pay me back.
Okay,
so
where were you?
Span of 2 months.
Where were you when you had this conversation with him?
At his home.
Remember what date it was? Was it the 22nd of January?
Yes, it was.
That's not true, Your Honor. When she had given me the check...
Tell me about why you would tell this lady that you're having any financial trouble anyway.
Well, she could just tell that I was stressed. We were upstairs in my room, we were just talking, watching TV, and she just, she said, "What's the matter?" I said, "Well, I'm stressed out right now because, I'm having some financial problems with being laid off." She said, "Well, I got plenty of money. Why don't you just let me help you out?" And I said, No, it'll be okay. I'm going to be going back to work." We talked about it for a little bit longer, and once again I said, "No, it'll be all right." And I went downstairs, got a drink of water. I was coming back upstairs. She met me halfway. She said, "I'm going to go home. I have to go to work in the morning." I left you a surprise upstairs in your room. And I went back upstairs to my room, and there was a check for $1,000.
So what'd you do?
I called her cell phone and said, "Why'd you leave me this money?" She said, "Because I care about you, and I want to see you be okay." She said, "Just consider it a gift."
I don't know if she said that. Listen to me. Shh. Are you her mother? You didn't hear the story that he just told? That's more real than what she told me. So you can laugh all you like. That's pretty much what happened, except just consider it a gift. That she didn't say. Don't go overboard, Mr. Hager. When you're ahead of the game, don't stretch the truth. The truth was pretty good for a while. Probably was a gift. I don't believe that you asked her for a loan, that there was a repayment schedule. I don't believe any of that. You have to understand that, Ms. Schreck. But now I have a question for you, because I was interested. When I wanted to hear what you had to say, Mr. Hager, I believe you, that that's how it came about.
Yes, ma'am.
Because that's what she would do. And she said, I cared about him being stressed. That's what girls do when they're in like. But then she was no longer in like with you, and you were no longer in like with her, and then we got the $1,000 that you've already spent, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But you look like a sort of responsible young man. How old are you?
29.
And you own your own home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it didn't work out with her. So wouldn't a responsible man of 29 years old, a homeowner, you own your own car, I'm sure you have a bank account, you told me you lived off savings.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? But then you went back to work. Why didn't you start giving her back this money?
She had told me it was a gift.
Mr. Hager, she's not your mother, is she?
No, ma'am.
She's not a sister. She's not even your best friend. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So then what a moral person does is say, you helped me out, I needed it, we're not together, I want to start paying you back this $1,000. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't that what a moral person does?
Yes, ma'am.
So you do want to be a moral person, don't you, Mr. Hager?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She did meet another guy, and that's when it ended our relationship. And that's when she wanted the $1,000 back.
That man did not come into my life until months after Brian and I had stopped speaking.
She told me it was a gift. You know, I feel I shouldn't have to pay the money back.
Lesson learned, never loan money to losers.
Deli worker Glenette Kitt is suing her neighbor, auditor Tanya Gatson, for having her falsely arrested 4 times. Tanya is countersuing, claiming Glenette vandalized her car.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Shh. Your Honor, this is case number 328 on the calendar in the matter of Kitt versus Gadsden. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Kitt, do you have family?
Yes.
Tell me about your family. How many are in your family?
I have 6 and custody of one other, so that makes 7.
Is there a Mr. Kitt?
My son and my nephew.
Other than that?
No.
So you have no husband?
Right.
Miss Gadsden, you want to tell me how many people are in your family?
I live alone right now. I have 3 children. My oldest is living in Atlanta with her father. My young 2 smaller children are with their grandmother. I'm in the midst of a custody hearing. Actually, I have a court date on November 22nd.
Have those children ever lived with you in the past year?
They left about exactly a year ago.
You 2 ladies are neighbors. Each of you has a complaint against the other, suing the other for $5,000. The complaint is really grounded in various forms of harassment. You claim, Ms. Kitt, that the defendant had you falsely arrested on 4 separate occasions, and that she has made numerous phone calls about you to Child Protective Services, alleging that the children who are in your care are out unsupervised. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Gadsden says that you're making her life a holy hell, and she is counterclaiming. So why don't you, Ms. Kitt, first tell me how long you've been living in the house that you currently occupy?
I moved there exactly January 1st of year 2000.
And how long, Ms. Gadsden, have you been living there?
I moved there 94. I've been there 5 years.
So you've been there a long time?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you, in a couple of minutes, Ms. Kitt, tell me all about your case against Ms. Gadsden?
Well, about a week after moving there, my children were outside playing. It was right after Christmas. We had just moved there. I walked to the door, and Ms. Gadsden had a limousine come and pick her friend up. My kids, they admired it. They went outside to see, you know, run and play and look at it. When I seen them approach Ms. Gadsden's side of the street, they was like, wow. So Ms. Gadsden came out and said, y'all, MF's children are not used to seeing things like this. Get the hell away from my yard. So I walked over to her side of the street. I said, ma'am, I don't know you, but these are my children. Don't speak to them in that tone of manner. So I went on in the house, went to work maybe 2 days later. My kid's babysitter lives directly next door to Miss Gadsden. I brought you a picture.
She lives next door.
And I went to open the door to get my kids. Miss Gadsden opened her door and said, B.I., hopped and spit in my face. And it was, I just can't explain, but I knew I was going to get her. And I did. The same day, I hit her. I popped her in her mouth. Not even a year later, maybe about in April, I kept getting police calls and at my house at work. I come home one day, the social services was there. She told me that she had had complaints 1 week after another concerning my kids being unsupervised. So I took her to where my kids were at a babysitter, which was next door to Miss Gadsden. And they found no foundings. After they did all this, and I guess she couldn't have me locked up anymore, she started with having me arrested on false charges. I had to be bailed out of jail over and over and over again. Up until this day, I'm still being arrested.
Arrested?
Yes, arrested.
You have the police reports?
Yes, I do.
Can I see them, please?
I have some copies of those and the charges that were all dismissed.
How many times did you have her arrested for damaging your car?
2 times, ma'am.
Did you see her damage your car?
Yes, ma'am.
How come the charges were dismissed?
The photos that I'd asked a friend to drop off for me at Walmart, they did not get same day, development. They had 4 days. And when I went to court the next day, I had to wait until the day after court to get the photos. So the judge dismissed it because I didn't have proof, which made me very upset with my friend, of
Your
course.
Honor. You think I believe that story? I don't believe that story for a minute. Let's go back a minute, Ms. Gadsden. You have 2 young children. How old are your children?
6 and 8 years old.
The children were removed by social services? Yes.
They were not removed from me. They were placed with their father temporarily.
They were placed with their father by social services.
Okay. They were actually picked up. My oldest daughter was home with the children, and she walked out. She was, in a sense, envious of her 2 younger sisters. She thought that we had a closer relationship than she did. She'd come here from Georgia with her father, and she walked out and called the police and left the 2 children there. The police then took the children to my licensed daycare provider.
Ms. Gadsden.
And then from there.
Is what you're telling me that you had a misunderstanding with your older daughter, and because there was a misunderstanding with her, she was jealous of the 2 younger children, she left them alone, and because of that, social services placed your 2 children with their father?
Right.
And they'd been with their father for over a year because of that?
No, ma'am. After placing them with him, well, they went immediately from my house to the licensed daycare provider that I had. From there, the father picked them up, and they allowed him to have temporary custody until I completed whatever needed to be done through the Division of Social Services.
But Ms. Gadsden, there's a major piece there that you're not telling me, and
Yes,
I want you to say, I was in family court for 25 years. I don't know if it's substance abuse involved.
No, none.
I don't know if there were prior incidents of leaving the children alone.
No,
I'm not sure. I don't know. But I know that if what the original story that you told me was that this was a misunderstanding with your older daughter, that your 2 younger children would have been back in a blink. It was not that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have you ever been arrested for anything?
Yes, assault and battery.
What else?
Forgery.
After 92.
Petty larceny. I don't remember the years, but I know charges.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lynette Kitt says neighbor Tanya Gadsden has had her falsely arrested on 4 separate occasions. Tanya says Lynette hangs out with drug dealers.
Yeah. So now I hear a whole bunch of false arrests and a whole bunch of stuff that you've been aggravating her. Now let me hear how she's aggravated you.
If I may begin with, there are other people living in her house, and they are individuals that aren't on leases there. They reach in their socks and they give her things that she pays for at the door, and I have witnesses that have written statements, and I've kind of highlighted where the drugs are in our neighborhood, and there's definitely drug trafficking going on in that vicinity. My last day coming home to my home,
Put that down.
I watched an individual walk up to Mrs. Kitt's window. There is an individual, I would not like to call his name, that is banned from our neighborhood, that was known to be shooting in our neighborhood. I've made several police calls about, that is in Mrs. Kitt's home now. Mrs. Kitt, from 7 in the morning to about 2, 3 in the morning, it's like a blowhorn from across the street to the street behind my street to a lady by the name of Renee that she's now pulled a knife on and had Renee removed from the neighborhood. Renee pulled a baseball bat in return. On July, the 12th day, I rented that limousine for my friend, not in September. There were children from the neighborhood, yes, but they weren't Miss Kitt's children. It was Mrs. Kitt that, as I said, excuse me, coming down from my front grass, the kids were all looking, and yes, and I brought my friend outside as a surprise because he'd done a very kind thing for me. And I said, excuse me, please. And she replied with vulgar language, and I was really torn up that I had to be assaulted to do something nice for a friend by this lady across the street. I have, Your Honor, I don't know how else to say, just had about 7 court dates with Miss Kitt.
Just a second. Miss Kitt, would you tell me how many children who live in your home are your biological children?
4 of them are, Your Honor.
I'm confused. 5 or 4?
Well, I count my nephew. I have custody of him. But biologically, 4 of mine live there.
Okay. What other children live in your house?
None other, and no one else, Your Honor.
Have you ever been arrested for drug sales?
No, ma'am.
Other than the arrests that were caused by complaints by Miss Gadsden, have you ever been arrested for anything?
Yes, assault and battery.
When?
2 years this year.
Who was the complainant in that case?
Another young lady.
From the neighborhood?
Yes.
And what was the result of that case?
Dismissed.
Did she allege that you assaulted her?
Yes. Yes, she did.
And did you allege that you were the victim and that she assaulted you?
I said I didn't do it.
You said you just didn't do it?
I didn't do it.
Did you go to trial?
Yes, I did.
And you were acquitted after trial?
Yes.
And that's the only arrest you had anywhere?
Oh, no, ma'am. I have some, like 10 years ago.
For
12
what?
years ago.
What else?
Driving.
Other than driving?
Forgery.
What year?
92.
After 92?
94.
For what?
No, 96 was driving.
Between 92 and 96?
Petty larceny. I don't remember the years, but I know charges.
When was the last time you were incarcerated? Think carefully.
96.
How long?
45 days.
Is that on a plea or a conviction?
Conviction.
Who watched your children?
Their fathers. 2 of them were in DCS because their fathers were Navy.
Now, Ms. Gadsden, I'm going to ask you the same question. Other than instances involving Miss Kitt, have you ever been arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
When was the last time you were arrested?
This was dated on, if maybe the deputy could help me.
No, just tell me. It had nothing to do with Miss Kitt.
Indirectly, yes, ma'am. This was a summons that was for my children's father and I for court, and Miss Kitt thought this was a summons for her and I in court, and I have a witness here that watched her take the summons off my door.
Other than anything having to do with Miss Kitt, have you ever been arrested?
This is a failure to appear.
Listen to me very carefully, Miss Gadsden. Other than any instance that even tangentially involves Miss Kitt, have you ever been arrested?
I don't think so.
Don't give me I don't think so.
In my home, prior to 2000.
In your home, out of your home, in the theater, in a restaurant, in the street. Have you ever been arrested
When
in a
this
car?
individual came to my door,
Just answer yes or no.
Yes.
You have been arrested.
The officer accidentally arrested me, and he was the one that had assaulted me.
Okay, fine. Other than that instance, madam, other than that instance, prior to 2000, have you ever been arrested?
Prior to 2000?
Yeah.
I was not arrested. I turned myself in after I found that the children's father's girlfriend filed a warrant against me in the city of Chesapeake, a counter warrant, and actually the incident occurred in the city of Norfolk.
I want you ladies to listen to me very, very carefully. Are you involved in a custody dispute now with the father of your children?
No, ma'am. He is not participating in any with what social services has required. I've completed all of those things.
Oh, he's not giving you back the kids so fast.
He doesn't have the children, ma'am.
Where are they?
His mother and sister have the children around the corner from my house. I asked them to get them out of foster care because they were taken from him because he had no place to stay.
Okay, you have an older daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And 2 younger ones. You just told me 2 minutes ago that the 2 younger children were with their father. Did I hear that right? Did you hear that?
Let her explain.
Okay.
You just told me that they weren't removed, that they weren't in foster care, that they were with their father. I said that the state take your children. You told me no.
No, I apologize.
Oh, please, give me a break. Listen, you 2 ladies deserve each other. I would suggest the following to you. Listen to me very carefully. If you're going to live next door to each other, I suggest you have nothing to do with each other. Other than that, I don't want to be bothered with you. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Envy. There's a lady that's on the porch on a chair all night long.
She never lets up. She let the judicial system keep me down, but it's not going to keep me down.
The young lady wanted a lot of attention.
I just know it'll never be over.
I think I've been getting all the attention in the neighborhood.
I'm a good friend. I would give her a glass of water if she needed it off the street.
I've got limousines, Lexuses, SC Lexuses, all sorts of nice things coming through and nice people coming to visit.
She's a serial neighbor.
Evening gown dates, tuxedos, and she has nothing.
She spit in my face.
I opened my door, heard her on the porch at the neighbor's house, reached over to check my mail, and someone stepped up and did that.
Something is wrong. Definitely wrong.
I'm moving. You'll never see me again.
She needs a straight jacket.
I'm gone, Mrs. Kid.
I'm gonna keep praying.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cleary versus Gray, step forward, please.
Homemaker Sandy Cleary and her son, 5-year-old Nicholas, are suing their neighbor, accounts receivable clerk Cynthia Gray. Sandy claims Cynthia's dog bit Nicholas in the face.
Miss Cleary, this is your little boy?
Yes.
What's your name?
Nicholas.
Nicholas, why don't you come up here? You're going to sit right up here next to me.
There you go.
Nicholas, how old are you?
5.
You know who I am?
It's Judy.
Right. Do you ever watch me on television? You know what it is to be in court? Is this court where you are now? Okay. You know you have to tell the truth when you're in court, right? Okay, Nicholas, you just sit there. I'll be back to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The fence doesn't work too well. The gate doesn't work too well. Where were you?
It happened so quickly.
So where was he when it happened?
The gate had opened, he went inside.
And you weren't close enough, Miss Cleary.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sandy Cleary says neighbor Cynthia Gray's dog bit her 5-year-old son Nicholas in the face.
Show me where you were bitten, Nicholas.
On my nose.
On your nose? Looks okay to me. Is it all better now? It's all better? Good. Miss Cleary, you and the defendant are neighbors, and according to your complaint, one of her dogs bit your son.
Correct.
You want her to pay you $5,000 for whatever. Pain, suffering, a whole bunch of other things. How far away do you live from Mrs. Gray?
We have an apartment complex that we live in, and there's a home dividing Cindy's home to our apartment complex.
She lives in a private house?
Correct.
With a yard?
Correct.
With a fenced yard?
Yes.
How high is the fence?
It's probably about Nicholas's height, maybe a little bit taller.
And what kind of dogs does she have?
She has a medium-sized dog, mixed breed, and a little Chihuahua-sized dog.
Okay, and her dogs are behind the fence?
Correct.
Always behind the fence, unless she's walking them.
Well, not so correct on that one. Sometimes the dogs are free to either get out with the children also in the neighborhood to go in.
No, the children don't go in, I assume, unless their parents are with them.
Well, Cindy has also a young son, and my children, as well as other neighborhood children, have been able to go into the backyard to see if he's there to play.
Okay.
Versus the front door, actually.
No, but you wouldn't allow your 5-year-old to go there.
No.
Of course not. So, on what date was Nicholas bitten?
September 10th.
And where were you?
I was in the front yard of our apartment complex.
And who was with Nicholas?
His little friend, Lily.
How old is Lily?
She's the same age.
So you have 2 5-year-olds. And you were watching them?
Yes.
Well, tell me what happened.
Well, what happened was Nicholas and Lily both had asked if they could go see Nina and Riley.
Nina and Riley are the 2 dogs?
The 2 dogs, correct.
Yes.
And I said that would be okay, but it didn't look as if anybody was home and to please not go into the fence, as children always do. And he said okay, and the last I knew, he went to go and see the dogs and then started screaming.
Just a minute. When he and Lily, also age 5, went over to the defendant's home, could you see your son?
No, Your Honor, I could not.
Why not?
Because, I mean, it's very close quarters. Her driveway goes back a little further than where ours does.
Yes.
It happened very quickly. My older son had also gone over there with them.
Where's your older son?
He's not here today. He didn't see what happened as well.
Then I don't need him here. So what you're saying is your son went into her yard.
Yes. The gate has never been a real well-shutting gate.
That's not the issue, whether it's shut well or not. Ms. Cleary, you are the parent. Correct. You have a responsibility. You have a 5-year-old child. Your 5-year-old child should not be out of your sight when playing out in the street. And if your 5-year-old child comes to you and says, I want to go and play with the 2 dogs, and you believe, as you said, that the defendant is not home or that nobody is home, you get off your duff and you get up and you say, you want to go and see the dogs, I will go with you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Madam, this is your fault. This is not the defendant's fault. She has 2 dogs. Her dogs are behind a fence, well protected. If your son hadn't gone into the yard, your son would not have gotten bitten. And you just told me that the fence doesn't work too well, the gate doesn't work too well. Where are you? I mean, you're out talking to a friend? It's your job to watch him. And if you were negligent in taking care of your own son, don't blame anybody else.
Your Honor, I am not blaming anybody else. It happened so quickly. I instructed him that he could only pet the dogs over the fence, as he always does. That children and him, they always pet the dogs.
So where was he when it happened?
The gate had opened, he went inside.
Then you weren't close enough, Miss Cleary.
I disagree, Your Honor, but...
Well, that's your prerogative to disagree. I'm telling you, it's your fault. It's not her fault. Your son went into her property, and you were outside, and it's your responsibility to take care of your child. It's not her responsibility to take care of your child, and you had the opportunity to do that by taking him by the hand with his friend Lily, walking him over to the fence, saying, I want to go and pet the dogs. Fine. Don't go into the yard, because you don't know what 2 5-year-olds do. 2 5-year-olds don't always have judgment. And this is a situation where you're looking to blame somebody else for your negligence, malfeasance, lack of proper parenting, and you're not going to do that here. Your case is dismissed. You were wonderful, Nicholas. Goodbye.
These are excuses. You may step out.
She needs to learn her parenting much better.
It was simply an accident.
I think Nicholas is really sweet, but I don't think it was my dogs.
Actually, this woman had no concern for my son.
I'd ask many times to keep him home when I wasn't home.
This woman has harassed my family and I numerous times.
She came down screaming and yelling the night of the 10th.
Actually,
you
I
can't really speak to her. You have to scream and yell.
She came out basically very defensive, saying his blood was on her side of the property.
She went off with her little friend screaming and yelling that they're going to effing sue you, effing this, effing that, just like every day goes.
He was screaming with a face full of blood.
We're in escrow on a new house, and we get to get away from the screaming maniac.
He wasn't very nice about it. There was no apology. None.
There won't be.
24-year-old nurse's assistant Morticia Davis is suing her former live-in boyfriend, car assembler David Brown, for a down payment on a home and for unpaid video rentals. David is countersuing for unpaid bills and harassment.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 330 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Brown.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Miss Davis, according to the complaint that I've read, you and the defendant lived together for a period of time. It is your claim that when you moved in together, you put down a substantial amount of money, almost, I think, $4,000. You call it a down payment on the house. You say that Mr. Brown subsequently kicked you out of the house and you want that money back. You also said that he's used a video card where you rent videos from a store without your permission. It belonged to you. He didn't return the videos, and you now have a very extensive bill from that store. Mr. Brown says you never gave him a dime, and he's got a counterclaim for bills that he claims you owe him, and he says you've been bothering him, but he doesn't like, so he wants you to pay for his trouble. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Miss Davis, when did you move in with the defendant?
Your Honor, I would like to tell you how my ex-boyfriend did me wrong. He moved in with me in November of 2000.
But listen to my question. When did you move in together in a place where you claim you put money down?
In June of 2001.
Shh. Now listen, I'm going to get to you. So don't interrupt her. We do things in a very orderly way here. It's the only way that I can function. Otherwise, I become frustrated. And Bird doesn't like it when I get frustrated. When did you move in together? June of 2001? Very good. And was this a House or an apartment?
It was a mobile home.
Was it a rental?
No, ma'am.
He bought it?
Process of buying, yes, ma'am.
And you say you gave him how much money?
It was $4,366.
And where did you get that money from?
I traded my mobile home in on the one that he purchased.
Okay, do you have any evidence of that transaction? All right, sir. I seem to have some evidence would tend to indicate, Mr. Brown, that she did not, in fact, give you any money towards the purpose of your mobile home.
Exactly, she did not.
Listen to me carefully, sir. I have evidence that she did not give you any money towards the purchase of your mobile home. But I have evidence here that she traded in her mobile home
No, ma'am.
as a partial down payment for a mobile home that went into your name.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. What has transpired was a mobile home that was sold from her cousin to me for $500, which we used as a trade-in.
Yeah, but they gave you credit for $4,366 as a down payment credit.
That was the value of the mobile home. I'm buying something for $500 and trading in for another amount. That's just like a good business transaction. Does it make sense? It's a profitable business transaction. If you can buy a car for $200 and sell it for $2,000, that's a smart buy. So that's exactly what I did. I took a smart buy and used it to advance in a better home for me and my children.
Something doesn't sound right, sir.
It doesn't sound
Does it sound right to you? He buys it for $500 from her cousin and then uses it, and they give him a down payment credit of $4,366.
I also gave in a $2,500 cash deposit as well.
On or about June 26, 2001, traded in her 1964 Windsor mobile home as a down payment on a 1998 Horton manufactured home.
Right.
This 1998 Horton manufactured was being purchased by David R. Brown. We gave Miss $4,366 on a down payment credit on the 1998 Horton.
Yes. Now, where's her name? Is that on any of the transaction?
Show that to him.
Your Honor, the reason why my name is not on there because the title was never changed over into my name, but I have a receipt where I purchased the mobile home before I met him.
That's for a different mobile home she's speaking of. And we never used that mobile home as a trade-in. This right here is sufficient. This right here is sufficient. And her name is not on there in that transaction because she has no involvement in the transaction.
I never said my name was on the mobile home, Your Honor.
She gave me these monies in her mobile home, and her name is not on anything. Does that make any sense?
That is my cousin.
Her cousin.
Ah. So they gave Miss $4,366 for the down payment.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Forget it. I don't look into that. Your name was not on the title to that mobile home?
No, ma'am.
All right,
at
then
the
forget
time,
it.
I did not have a job, but I have a receipt where I bought the mobile home from Miss.
Show me.
Do you have the receipt?
You mean
up
this?
there?
$500?
Yes, and I also have this right here.
You have this? Is this what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
That's nothing. That's nothing. That's something that you buy in a grocery store.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She won't leave me alone. We broke up, let it go. I guess she's steady looking for a payout for something she knows she's not owed to.
Mr. Brown, I believe you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Morticia Davis says ex-boyfriend David Brown owes her for the down payment on a mobile home and unpaid video rentals. David says her lawsuit is bogus.
Now, what about this video card?
When I got evicted out the mobile home, he used my Blockbuster
When did he evict
card.
you from the mobile home?
May. She moved out of the home before the eviction took place. So therefore,
What do you mean there was an eviction? Had you gone to court to evict her?
I went to court to evict her.
Why is that?
Because there was South Carolina state law. Once someone established residence in your home, in order for them to move out against their will, you have to evict them out.
All right, so the relationship wasn't going well, I assume.
It's downhill from...
Do you have children together?
No, we do not, thank God.
Perfect. Okay, so what about this video card?
Well, when he got his new girlfriend evicted me, I got some bills in the mail, which he used my card illegally at 3 different Blockbusters, never took the videos back.
Show me. You were evicted in May, is that right? Yes. Well, this is March of 2002.
Thank you.
This is March of 2002.
That's when he used
This is March of 2002.
And we both resided.
This is March of 2002, and this is March of 2002. So
after I got evicted, that's when I got the bills in the mail, which he had used them.
No.
Well, listen to me. Miss Davis, how do what? You lived together in March of 2002. You were sharing a home.
He was not there in March, Your Honor. He was not there. He lived with his new girlfriend until I got evicted.
Lies.
He was
Listen
not
to
there.
me.
Lies.
You kind of...
She's lying, Your Honor.
I don't want to say it again. It doesn't appear as if you're doing badly in this lawsuit so far. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
But what can happen is you can lose if you open your mouth again. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any of these movies home, sir?
No, I do not.
It's not going to admit.
Do you know where they are?
The last was left in the home that she was residing in. Now, what she did with them after that, I don't know.
Your Honor, that's not true.
I haven't been back to the house. At the time, I was out the house from late part of March all the way up until April, May.
See, now he's
back in May.
Don't interrupt him.
Back into May.
All right, you have no case, Miss Davis. That's you. You want to get to your counterclaim? Mr. Brown.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You said she owes you bills.
Yes, ma'am.
What does she owe you bills for?
For rent, electric bill.
She doesn't owe you for rent. You weren't anticipating any rent from her.
I loaned her a few $100s for a couple of car note payments.
Yeah, go ahead. What else?
And
chalk it up to experience. What else?
Harassment.
Well, I have a feeling that that's true, that she's been harassing you.
And she just don't.
I have a feeling that that's probably true. So you want to tell me about the harassment?
I mean, she caused problems with me at work. She caused problems with me and my children. I'm a single parent of 2 children. Today is my son's birthday. I should be home with him instead of her in this courtroom. But Ms. Davis, again, want to file a lawsuit that she have no bearing to hold on. So therefore, it's just constantly, she won't leave me alone. We broke up, let it go. But yes, she's steady looking for a payout for something she knows she's not owed to.
I believe you. I believe that she has made it her mission at this portion in her life to make your life miserable. That's what I believe. Put your hand down.
Judge.
Why can't you just say it didn't work out, period, end of discussion? While you were living together for that year, where were you working?
Interim health care.
Okay.
And I took care of 4 kids.
What did you do with your money?
I paid bills.
What bills?
I have light bills, water bills, phone bills.
Mm-hmm. He paid the rent?
Yes, that's all he paid was the rent and the land payment.
What about the food?
I got that.
No.
Really?
I was on food stamps, Your Honor.
Was not. She was not. And as far as the electric bills and bills, those bills are in my name. And then she couldn't pay those bills. That's why I'm here now about the electric bill and the bills that she has now.
Your Honor, I have these bills. Yes, they was in his name, but I paid them.
Show me.
After the fact that I left the house and I had these utilities cut off because she refused to pay them.
You mean after you left in March?
After I left in March. She was running them up in my name. Therefore, I had these bills.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Yeah, this is April. I want to see anything before that, madam, before you were in the house by yourself. You have proof that you paid any bills?
I paid all my bills, Your Honor.
Listen to what I'm saying.
No, Your
to
Honor,
you.
that is all I have.
Right. That I can understand.
And Mr. Brown had those bills in his name because he moved up there before I did. That's why they was in his name.
Full attention to me.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you have a checking account?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So all you have to do is to bring to court today, since you knew that he was counterclaiming for bills.
Your Honor, I didn't know.
Proof? What do you mean you didn't know?
I didn't know he was countersuing me.
Really? When did you file your counterclaim, sir?
Monday.
When did you serve her?
He haven't.
Oh, then it's dismissed. Your counterclaim's dismissed. But not only is your counterclaim dismissed, Mr. Brown, but so is your lawsuit. And I'm going to make this suggestion to you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes things don't work out. How old are you?
I'm 24.
You have children?
I have 2. I'm a single parent.
Put a period, this is over, and devote all of your energies to working and your 2 children. Leave him alone. He doesn't owe you any money. Goodbye.
I don't harass him, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He jumped on me twice. and the mobile home was mine, which I didn't have the title with me.
Many a times she had me arrested for domestic criminal violence, something that I didn't do.
He's not going to do anything without being in the courtroom because he thinks he can get away with a lot of stuff.
She came in here, Judge Judy seen between the lies and what she was trying to tell, didn't get nothing. Justice was served for the first time.
Administrative clerk Stephanie Brown is suing her former landlord, Toby Moore, for the return of personal property. Toby is countersuing for damages to the apartment, unpaid rent, and for the cost to remove waste.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 385 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Moore. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Brown, this is your son?
Yes, it is.
How old is he?
He's 9.
I'm going to ask Bird to take the young man outside because there are some serious allegations here that I don't believe he has to be involved with or be privileged to hear.
Come with me.
Everybody else you can be seated, sir. Ms. Brown, according to your complaint, you rented an apartment from the defendant.
That's correct.
Somebody that it turned out you had some connection with historically in your family.
Correct.
And it was a two-family house. You rented upstairs and you lived downstairs. According to your complaints, some issues developed. She evicted you.
Right.
And according to you, kept some of your property.
Correct.
You want to be reimbursed for that property.
That's correct.
Ms. Moore says she's very happy that you decided to sue her because she's been trying to find you. You left no forwarding address when you moved out because she claims you owe her rent. You destroyed her apartment, and she would like to be compensated.
Correct.
So when did you move in, and what kind of a lease did you sign?
It was a month-to-month lease, and we moved in like the last week of February of 2002.
What was the rent?
$650.
And you were evicted in August, is that right?
Really the last week of July, I received an termination of tenancy.
Okay, but then you were told you had to leave August 20th, according to your complaint.
Yes, after we went to court for something else.
Now, why did you notify her that you were evicting her?
Non-payment of rent. And
tell me when that was.
They didn't finish paying their rent in July, and they didn't pay their rent in August at all.
Okay. In July, how much did they pay?
$605.
Why did you pay $605 in July?
My fiance was having problems with his job, and you know he wasn't working every day.
Okay, so you were shy $45
right.
in.
I don't even know it was $45. I thought it was more like $15 or so.
All right. And what happened in August? I'm asking you. Pay attention.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. In August, I got no response. So on.
What do you mean you got no response?
They don't answer their door. They don't answer their phone.
Is there any reason why you didn't pay rent?
Yes, Your Honor. First of all, the end of July, it all, to me, started with an air conditioner. When I first rented the place, she said she had an air conditioner in the unit. It was in the wintertime. I said, asked her, does it get pretty hot up there? She said, yes, it does. I have an air conditioner you can use, you know, when the time comes. You know, I'll just prorate the electricity bill. We were offered an air conditioner through a friend of ours, so we took it. You know, saying that, you know, she was saying that.
Okay,
it was
so you took an air conditioner.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so she, you know, she said to let her know when I got the air conditioner, and I don't think I let her know that exact day that I got it because she wasn't home or something. But anyways, the air conditioner ended up being in there for like 10, 12 days before she knew about it. She called up to my house and asked me, did I have an air conditioner? And I said, yes. She said, well, would you please take it out? You didn't notify me that you had an air conditioner, and would you please take it out? So 5 minutes later, I took the air conditioner out. The next day, this note was posted on my door saying that we have a 30-day tendency to move because we have put an air conditioner in her unit without her permission. And that's where it started from. So that was dated July 31st, and we had 30 days to move. So upon that notice...
Okay, just a second. According to this, they owed $15 of July's rent.
Mm-hmm.
And the other $30 you tacked on here was for the air conditioner.
For the electricity bill.
Just a second. For the air conditioner, for the difference involving the air conditioner. So they didn't owe you $45 for rent. It was the additional $30 that you say that your electricity bill went up because of the air conditioner.
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead. So what happened next?
So the next day that note was posted that we had 30 days to move. So I have a son. I wasn't working at the time. My fiance was only working part-time. I could not afford to pay rent to pay rent twice, to give her August rent since we had 30 days to move, and I already had put up a damage deposit of $650, and so I was, assuming to myself, well,
you're going to live off your security deposit.
Not necessarily.
Well, that's what he says. You say no, but that's what he says. You had $650. You figured she wasn't going to give it back to you anyway. You might as well use that $650 for security deposit to pay your August rent.
Right.
I got you. Okay. But that's non-payment of August rent is not the reason that she was evicting you.
To me, it wasn't. It was because of the air conditioner.
Okay. Is that why you were evicting her?
No, ma'am.
Why were you evicting her?
Late night arguments with the little boy up there, and there's only, the three of them up there. You're throwing things against my walls. You're breaking and damaging things.
Don't talk to her. Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, ma'am. They were doing too many things, and I have my husband, sons during the summertime. We take care of them.
That's not true.
Shh.
And they're loud. They woke us up at 1:30 in the middle of the night, scared my boys because she was going to burn down the house, threatened to burn down the house.
Why they were having
arguments? Child staying on this.
So they were having arguments?
All the time.
That is not true.
So if they were having arguments, why didn't you move to evict them because they were a nuisance?
Well, I had talked with Stephanie a couple times about that. You've got that child up there, you're doing things up there you shouldn't be doing with that boy up there.
You said nothing to me.
You're leaving that child by himself. You
I very seldom left my son
out of the mailbox for him to come in.
I'm not speaking to you.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I mean, I think she left a lot of junk, and they certainly left this apartment like a pig pen.
She would have gave me a chance, I would have cleaned up.
No. Pig. Pig. Those things you don't clean up.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephanie Brown says former landlord Toby Moore evicted her family and then kept their belongings. Toby says Stephanie is violent.
Now, what did you go to court for?
Okay, after I got the 30-day notice and like August 5th came around, she discovered evidently I wasn't going to pay her rent. So she went and filed an unlawful detainer for non-payment of August rent. We went to court like around the 14th or so, and we were asked to vacate the premises by August the 20th.
No, you weren't asked. Were you ordered to?
Ordered to vacate.
That's
right.
different. Ask and order are two different things.
Okay.
Were you out on August 20th?
August the 20th, around 7 p.m., we were in a process of moving. We only moved like 4 blocks away. I don't have a vehicle. It was pouring down, raining that whole night. We made like 7 or 8 trips with shopping carts, mind you, in the pouring rain, back and forth to our new place moving. But before that, she came about 10 minutes to 8 that evening and said that she was changing the locks on the apartment. I said, well, Toby, we're in the process of moving. Can you give us to 8 o'clock in the morning? She said, you cannot tell me what to do at my property. I can make any necessary repairs or whatever I want to my property, and you cannot tell me what to do. And then she threatened me with calling her uncle.
I just want to know whether you were
her
out.
Uncle, the sheriff.
Pay careful attention to me.
Right.
Were you out of the apartment by midnight on the 20th of August?
No, I wasn't, and she knew that, though. She came and asked me when we were going to be out, and I told her 8 a.m. that morning. And I didn't
just a second, that's maybe what you told her, but you could not be in that unit after midnight on the 20th of August.
Right.
That was the order.
Come and remove
because
us.
then what you do is instead of starting to move on the 20th, you start to move on the 19th.
That's correct, but we were...
I know it's correct. All right, so now what do you claim was left behind?
This is a list of things that were left behind in the apartment.
Let me see. A slider rocker, I'm talking about the big items, slider rocker, sofa sleeper, large kitchen table, antique golf clubs. What are antique golf clubs?
My fiance had a set of golf clubs, and they were antique. They were like 15, 20 years old.
Oh, no, those aren't antique. Those are old.
Okay, well.
There's a difference between old golf clubs and antique golf clubs.
I'm just appraising. I don't know how old they were, but they were very old.
They were very old.
Right.
Old. Old golf clubs are not antique golf clubs. Right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what happened with all these things?
Most of the things, yes.
Tell me what happened with them.
The things that she left behind, left in the apartment, I took pictures of, and the things that she left and took down to all my neighbors' trash.
She what?
She strategically took stuff and left in everybody's trash.
I'm just
down
talking
my
about the
alley.
furniture. I'm talking about the furniture.
So am I.
She telling me she put the chair in somebody's garbage?
Correct.
Listen to me carefully, Miss Moore. Is there a sofa that was in the apartment after she moved out?
No, ma'am.
That's
That
a
is
lie.
Shh. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I mean, I think she left a lot of junk, and they certainly left this apartment like a pig pen.
No, we.
Oh, yes, you did.
I did
Oh.
because I wasn't done moving. Your
No,
Honor.
no,
I
no,
didn't
no,
mean
listen to me.
If she would have gave me a
Listen
chance,
to
I would
me.
have cleaned up.
No, no. Pig. Pig. Those things you don't clean up. This, show her.
They shouldn't have been left like that.
I'm speaking. Don't speak.
I'm sorry.
Nobody was going to clean that oven before you moved out, and nobody was going to defrost the refrigerator at 8 o'clock in the morning. Do you understand?
I understand that.
That's not taking care of somebody else's property. So if this is an indication,
And you know what, Your
I'm
Honor?
speaking.
Okay.
If this is an indication of how you were taking care of someone else's property, then I understand her counterclaim, which is you left the rest of the place in a complete state of disarray.
When I moved there, it was like that. She gave me $100 off to clean up. The stove and refrigerator was a mess. I had to clean all that up.
So just a second. So she gave you money off.
Right.
Fine. Now, so if that's
And I was
the
going to
case,
clean it up again after I was on, in the process of leaving. I don't.
No,
leave my
that's
place
baloney.
like-
That's baloney because you didn't have time. You had to be out by midnight. So you weren't going to clean that up at all. Now, Miss Moore, we've already come to the conclusion that you didn't give her a legitimate reason for evicting her. This is not the legitimate reason, according to you. According to you, didn't like them as tenants. Then they didn't pay rent in August, so that you went and you finally got her evicted. I don't believe that she took all of her stuff. I believe that some stuff was left behind. I don't know what you did with it. You want to tell me what you did with it?
The stuff that was left behind,
Yeah, in the
she
apartment.
came and got. And the things, she came and started going through boxes, and I'm like, Stephanie, no. You have to take your stuff. You can't sit here and do this.
When did she come back?
She came back with her mother on the 22nd.
So what you're telling me is plaintiff and her mother came back on the 22nd.
Correct. Her mother came by looking for her, and I said, I don't know where she is. She moved out. And if you do catch up to her, ask her what does she want with the rest of her things. They're out in my garage. 45 minutes to an hour later, she showed up.
And those were the things that you wanted me to have. There was no
Just a
sofa
second.
in her garage.
Just a second.
There wasn't one.
Had your stuff been in her garage before?
No.
So she moved the stuff out of the apartment
Right.
into her garage.
Right, what she wanted me to have.
What did you do with the things that were in the garage?
Some stuff, the stuff that was in the garage, I put in my mother's car and took with me. Some stuff that was no good, I have a friend that owns a furniture store. They said that I could put the stuff in the trash back there. So stuff that I did not want, I put in the back of this furniture store trash.
What furniture did you take with you?
I didn't have a chance to even
No,
get my
what
main furniture out. I took nothing but my it was mostly clothes and stuff that I had moved. I didn't get it, the big stuff you move last, and I didn't have a chance to move that.
That's unfortunate. You had an obligation to be out of that premises by midnight on the 20th. Now, she says that you left no couch, that you left no table and chairs, that any furniture that you left, any stuff that you left, she put in a garage. You came by with your mother. Your mother came first, you came second. You looked through the stuff. Some stuff you wanted, some stuff you didn't. Some stuff was trash. Even the trash she moved out of your apartment.
No.
No, it's not.
Sure it is.
Can I call
you
a
just
witness,
told me
please,
that.
ma'am?
Sure. Call him. Your last name?
Tell us.
Go ahead, Mr. Tellis.
Okay, the things, way it went down as far as the furniture that was in the house. Her mama, my fiance's mother, knew where we was at, and we had told her where it happened.
Don't tell me anything that her mother saw, sir.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you that, but...
I want to know why you didn't move this stuff out on the 18th or the 19th of August. You weren't working. If you're not working, why didn't you move?
He was working.
I was working. I was working, but I was working part-time.
Well, it's working part-time, and the
Okay.
other half the time you move
Okay.
out in time.
Okay.
17th, 18th, 19th, so that you're all out on the 20th, so that you
Right.
don't start moving at 8 o'clock at night on the 20th.
Okay, actually, we had prepared to move by boxing up a lot of things, whatever. But we were moving, and about 4:30, 5 o'clock that morning, she put a lock
The lock was there before.
She had already put a
locked
lock on the door, but she locked the door so we couldn't get in to finish taking our belongings out.
You couldn't be there 4:30 in the morning on the 21st.
Okay, but even then...
We had agreement. She said, when are you going to be out? We said 8 o'clock in the morning. She said she had no problem. When we come to make our last several loads, the door was locked.
But
you listen to me. I don't believe you that you had stuff in that apartment worth $1,500 because you just said to me we came to make our last several loads. Our last several loads is not all your furniture.
No, it was our sleeper sofa, our dresser, our table, our rockers, my golf clubs, my bikes, all that.
Grills, everything.
Grills. We would have moved all that.
Can I have that list? Can I have the list? So what did you take? Just a minute.
Like
so
said,
what did you... So what did you take, sir, is my question.
Basically, we took a lot of pots and pans. We took some rugs that we had. Clothes, you know, a lot of
TVs,
VCRs. But we didn't get a chance to move the big items.
Okay, good. Now, did you have a U-Haul at that night? Did you have a U-Haul at that night?
No.
Okay. Now you can sit down. Now, I want to hear about your counterclaim.
Tell the truth.
One more word. One more word. Your case is going to be dismissed, and I will just concentrate on her counterclaim. Do you understand?
I understand.
Who are you?
I'm her husband.
Step up.
Yes, I was the one that mainly moved everything out of that apartment.
Where's the couch?
There was no couch upstairs. There was no couch.
Who knows? I have no idea. I have no idea. All I know is you left the place like a pigsty. Since I really don't know what happened to your furniture in there, I have to rule strictly on the law. And the law is that when you've been evicted from an apartment and you're told to move, you have to be totally out of that apartment on midnight the night of the move. You are not. And you were not out by midnight on the 20th, not because she didn't let you get your stuff, but because you didn't start to move until 8 o'clock at night on the 20th. So anything left in that apartment, even if you left stuff in that apartment afterwards, you can find that that stuff was abandoned by you. So even if they took it, sold it, destroyed it, gave it away, salvaged it, trashed it, or whatever, they had a legitimate right to do that because they are under no obligation to keep your stuff. Do you understand? And again, I'm not sure whether the stuff was there or not, but I am sure that it was there after it was not supposed to be there pursuant to a court order. That's one thing. So that's very easy to deal with. The second thing that I have to deal with is her counterclaim. And her counterclaim is for rent and damages to the apartment. Correct. Well, I think that there are certain damages to the apartment that I can't find caused by them. I certainly think that they left the place like a pigsty and that they have to be fined for that to the extent that they had $650 in security deposit and that at least part of that has to go towards cleaning up this apartment.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Cleaning up and putting it into reasonable condition.
Right.
And I think that probably $150 or $200 is reasonable to clean up that apartment. The problem is you stayed beyond the term of your lease. So you don't get any credit for August rent.
Right.
Which means that you owe her some money to clean up the apartment, the mess that you made, which is a couple of $100. So on the counterclaim, I'm awarding her $200 to clean up the apartment, and I'm awarding you nothing. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
I think the judge was fair. Can't get back all the damages and stuff that they did do to the apartment.
You know, anybody that's a tenant, beware of landlords like her who are very just rotten to the core.
Maybe they'll have better luck taking care of their child and providing a decent roof over their head and not have to move from pillar to post every other month or so.
That's why I brought her to court, because I know there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Just have to find someone else to take pity for them. I won't.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Casey versus Kauff. Step forward, please.
Administrative manager Sally Casey is suing Lisa Kaupp and her parents Bob and Adelina Kaupp for the cost to fix her son's car.
Stand over there.
You may be seated.
Mrs. Casey, it is your claim that the defendant's daughter, I assume this young lady right here, totaled your son's car.
That's correct.
She was driving the car without permission. You want her parents to be responsible. Her parents say that he shouldn't have let her drive the car, and it's not their responsibility. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like all the parents to sit down for a moment. What's your first name?
Michael.
Stand up on your own 2 feet, Michael. Your name?
Lisa.
You too. Put your hands at your sides. Good. That makes you more vulnerable. I want you to tell me how you got possession of his car. And you look at me, and I want you to make sure of one thing. I don't care what kind of baloney you gave to your parents. I don't care what kind of baloney you gave to your mother. What I'm going to find out is how you got possession of his car. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The school should have notified me. I can't be with her 24/7 watching over her.
If what you're telling me is that you actually believe that position, there is something seriously wrong with you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Michael Casey says schoolmate 16-year-old Lisa Kaup took his car without permission and wrecked it. Lisa says Michael willingly handed her the keys.
Let's go.
Okay. It was March 14, 2002. It was the day before my birthday. And it was 4th period, and my friends didn't want to go to 4th period. We thought it was a lame class. So
I want you to go slowly because I'm old and I can't hear you when you're speaking in 45 speed.
Okay.
It was your birthday. That's where you lost me.
So I had balloons and flowers, the whole 9, because it was the day before my birthday. And my friends didn't want to go to 4th period, so we decided to just go to school, but we didn't want to walk. And I had previously borrowed Mike Casey's car before. He said...
Shh. Go ahead.
So we wanted to borrow someone's car, so we found Mike. And one of my friends...
Who's we?
My friends, me and my 2 other friends.
Names?
Lisa and Gina.
So you found Mike where?
In the quad of the old school campus.
You were all together?
Yes. We approached him and we asked, Mike, can we borrow your car?
Who asked?
My friend Lisa. And then she said, Mike, can we borrow your car? And he said, go ahead, as long as you put gas in it. So then we took the car, we walked out of school, and we took the car, and we went to my friend Lisa's house. And then we jumped back into the car, and then we were pulling away from the driveway. I looked over my shoulder, but because of the balloons and the flowers that I looked over, and the car must have been in my blind spot. So then I pulled away from the curb real slow, and then the car came up, and the whole other side of the road was open, but the car didn't move out of the way. She just approached forward. And then so we collided, and but the left fender of Mike's car hit the front fender of the other woman's car.
Now your version.
All right, I was in...
No, look at me.
Okay.
And I want you to trust me. I don't care what story you gave to your mother. I want you to know that I have a truth machine back here.
All right.
Do you understand?
I understand.
Good.
All right. It was around 12 o'clock, right before lunch, and Lisa, her friend, came up to me. I didn't see this Lisa or her other friend. I don't know what the other friend's name was. But Lisa came up to me and asked me for the keys because I gave her a ride the day before, to school. She said she left a notebook in my car. She took the keys from me. I said, meet me back here in 5 minutes. So I waited for 5 minutes, waited for 20, waited for 30, waited for 40. I was called into the office. I saw them in the back of a police car come up. They said, your car has been totaled. I was like, how has my car been totaled? They said, it's been crashed. I was like, how has it been crashed? They said, well, Lisa Kaup was driving your car and she crashed it. I said, Lisa Kaup? I gave the keys to Lisa in the first place. What's the whole point here?
Let me see a police report.
This one?
Have you in the past let anyone else drive your car?
No. Ever.
That's not true.
Well, my grandpa, the one that gave it to me?
No, I'm not talking about your grandpa. I'm talking about any other of your peers drive your car.
The only person that's ever driven my car other than me, one of my peers, is my friend Vince. That's all.
Excuse me, Your Honor. The first time that I had borrowed his car, we came back to lunch, and one of his friends came up to me and they're like, what are you doing in Mike's car? And we're like, oh, Mike said the keys are in the ignition, we can take it. He was like, oh, okay, that's cool. He got in the car and he took off.
Who
one
is
of
this?
his other friends. Sean.
Sean came up to you and said that?
Yes. He came into the car and he took off with the car.
Sean took off with the car?
Yes.
How did you get the keys to the car on that date?
We said, oh, can I borrow your car, Mike? And he was like, go ahead. I was like, I don't have my license, I just have my permit. He's like,
How
I
did
don't
you know
mind.
my
The
name?
keys
I've
are
never
in the...
met you. I never met you before that.
He was like, oh, I don't mind, go ahead, the keys are in the ignition.
Okay. Now,
Keys are in the ignition?
just a minute. Now you can stand up. I tell you this, even though I have some question about how she got control of that car, you're responsible, because she's responsible. I have some serious questions as to whether, when he just gave her the keys to the car, this other girl who said, go get your things out of the car, I left a notebook there because I was in the car a day before. I'm not so sure. Your daughter has no right to drive a car, right?
Right.
She knows she has no right to be driving a car.
Correct.
She was driving the car in a negligent fashion because she had all of her balloons in the back so she couldn't see what was going on. So what makes you folks think she's not responsible?
Well, she is an unlicensed permit, has a permit only. And she was given the keys by the boy, and he knew that she didn't have a driver's license. Why would he give the keys to her
Where is
when she
her
don't have a driver's license?
Where is her responsibility?
She should have known. But
So, where is her
I dropped her off
responsibility?
at school. I expect her in school. And if she is tempted by someone else that's unresponsible and not driving the car, or in giving her the keys to drive the car, the school should have notified me. I can't be with her 24/7 watching over her. And it's high school. I mean, she's no little baby.
There is something wrong with you. Unless you're telling me that you're trying to make it a situation better. But if what you're telling me is that you actually believe that position, there is something seriously wrong with you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Michael Casey says schoolmate 16-year-old Lisa Kaup took his car without permission and wrecked it. Lisa says Michael willingly handed her the keys.
She's blamed everybody else but herself. I guess she gets that from you.
No.
It was the other lady who had plenty of room to go around them but didn't. It wasn't the fact that she couldn't see out of the back window because of all the balloons. It was the other lady's fault. It was his fault because he gave her the keys, or the other Lisa the keys, and Lisa gave her the keys. She has a responsibility. And since she has no money, it falls on you.
She shouldn't have been given the keys.
She had no right to take it.
I agree.
Let me ask you this question, sir. Where do you live?
Rosemead,
Where is that?
California.
Have you ever been to Las Vegas?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You're at the airport waiting to go to Las Vegas. You see a couple of pilots coming out. They're going to get on your plane. One of the pilots says, "Oi, I have such a terrible headache. Mr. Kaup, would you please take the keys to this 747? And would you take the plane and fly it into Las Vegas as a co-pilot, because you need two people in the front cockpit in case something happens to the pilot. Would you do that?
No.
Why not?
I'm not going to jeopardize my life or other
Right,
people.
because you don't have the wherewithal to fly a plane.
Right.
You've not been properly trained to fly a plane. Even though this pilot gave you the keys and says, go start it up and take off.
I would have
You wouldn't
refused
be an
it.
idiot, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't be an idiot. Well, your daughter's an idiot.
She should have known better. I agree.
Right, there we go. Now you get into some responsibility.
She should have said, no, I don't want the keys, but she didn't.
No, she went and asked for the keys. Don't you understand? He didn't say, even according to her, here, I'm going to find Lisa and give her the keys to the car because she's got all these balloons and flowers. They came looking for him, according to her story.
But he could have said no. He didn't have to say yeah. He knew that he didn't have a permit.
I think it's genetic.
I say no. When
You
my other
said-
daughters want to drive.
Right.
I tell them no. She should have been paying attention.
That's it. Now, look, at least I made a convert out of one of you. He didn't do the wrong thing. You did the wrong thing. I want you to repeat after me. I did the wrong thing.
I did the wrong thing.
That's better. That didn't hurt much, did it? Let me see the bill to fix your car.
There's that. There's the impound.
Did you get the car out?
No, it was useless. You couldn't be driven anymore.
You have pictures of this car?
Yes, I do.
Good. How did you deal with the damage to the other car?
I'm pretty sure my insurance company paid for it.
Yes, Your Honor, may I interject here?
Stand up.
Actually, what had happened was I had contacted my insurance company and explained to them that my son had been involved in an accident, and the insurance follows the car. Therefore, my insurance covered the damage to the Lexus as a result of...
The car that was damaged
Correct.
by her. That's a very good insurance
Yes.
company you have. So now I'm going to give you the bad news. I don't believe your story. I believe that you are partially responsible. I think she's more responsible than you are. Your total damages were $1,992, and I am attributing 1/3 of those damages to you. 2/3 to her. That comes to $1,328. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. So you have to understand something. If you're given the keys to a car, and you're given a car to drive, you don't give those keys to anybody, whether they want to get a notebook, whether they want to listen to music, whether they want to do anything. You keep the keys to your car in your pocket, because the only one who's going to suffer out of this whole thing is your mother.
I understand.
Because her insurance is going to go up. She had a lot of aggravation, all because you wanted to be a nice guy. And as far as you're concerned, I have made your father a convert. Your father now understands the word responsibility. I hope that by repeating the phrase that I gave you 100 times in the mirror every night, you will also understand that if you do something wrong, you're supposed to fess up and say, I did it wrong, it was my fault. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
A pretty face only gets you so far, that's all.
Why is our excuse? You may step out.
Was lying about the whole situation.
The parents seem to be very irresponsible as far as the actions of their children.
What's happened has happened, and at least that's not the full amount that I have to pay.
I'm just glad I got my part of the money.
It's not like it's a one-way street here. He gave me the keys, and I took it in return.
Don't give your keys out to chicks.
Accountant Monica Jones is suing homemaker Martha Escada for filing false charges of hit and run. Martha says Monica totaled her car.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Now, this is case number 199 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Escada. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
I'm really a little confused with this case, but we're going to make sense of it. Miss Jones, you're suing her because you say she filed false charges against you of hit and run.
Yes.
The hit and run was not against her person, but against a car that she was driving in.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
There was an incident involving the defendant.
Yes, there was.
First, tell me when the incident happened.
The exact day, it was on or about May 1st.
Tell me about it.
I was moving back into my home, and
you were moving back into your home from where?
From a corporate leasing unit.
Okay.
I rented a 26-foot U-Haul truck. I asked the guy to help me move, and he knew the defendant's boyfriend.
Did you know this person?
Not personally, no.
How did you find this person?
Just through verbal acquaintance, just seeing him around town. He's a handyman.
What's his name?
Michael Alexander.
So you asked Michael if he would help you move?
Yes. He then got the two other guys and said, you know, they were good workers and they will also help because I had a lot of furniture.
Okay, so there were going to be 3 men.
3 men.
And you rented the U-Haul?
And I rented the U-Haul.
Where did you pick them up?
I picked them up on 3rd Street East in Lancaster, California at Michael's home.
What happened the second day?
The following day, we had agreed the previous night to meet back at Michael's house early in the morning. I did so. I arrived.
So you, again, went back to Michael's house to pick up the 3 guys?
To pick up the 3 guys. As the one of the guys was walking out, he was arguing with someone in the house. I asked him, was he okay? Did he need to stay back? He said, no, let's go. So all 4 of us got into the truck. I drove off. Went back to the house, unloaded the truck. Later on that day, I was going down Avenue K, headed westbound. He spotted his girlfriend.
Were the 3 men still in the truck?
The 3 men are in the truck. I'm driving down Avenue K, which is a main street. I'm heading westbound. He spotted his girlfriend, which apparently is a defendant.
Had you ever seen her before?
No.
Never laid eyes on her before that day? Go ahead.
And he makes a comment to another guy. He said, oh, there she goes. She's about to turn around. I quickly glanced in my rearview mirror. I didn't really see anything. A few seconds later, she was behind me on my left-hand side, honking her horn and motioning me to pull over.
What kind of car was she in?
A little blue Toyota Tercel, something compact and small.
Now, how is she telling you to pull over?
Honking her horn and motioning like this. And so then I asked the guy, I said, do you want me to pull over? He said, no, she just wants to argue, just keep going. So I did. A few seconds later, she's now on the right side of the truck.
She's on the passenger side of the
on
truck.
the passenger side of the truck. Okay, she just got over. She's doing the same thing. And I asked him again, I said, are you sure? He said, no, keep on, she'll eventually pass. And I said, okay, fine. So I keep driving. She was yelling and screaming.
What was she yelling?
You know, she was yelling profanities at him.
At him, not at you?
Not at me, okay? Not at first. When she got closer to the window, though, to where, because it was a long truck, when she got closer to the window, she did call me a B. But prior to that, she was, you know, on the side of the truck yelling and screaming at him, and they flipped it. I don't know, she flipped him off, and then he flipped her back off. So then they had a flipping off match, okay? And so I kept driving, and that was that. I moved all that day, you know, nothing. And the following day, I got a call from the Palmdale Sheriff's Department, said that they wanted to come look at the vehicle because they had been involved in a hit and run.
First of all, who was that guy? Who knew me?
Speak not until I speak to you. So it is your testimony
Yes.
that at no time did you ever hit her or hit her car?
Whatsoever.
Now, were you ever arrested?
No.
What happened?
The officer came to my house. He took a photograph of me. He told me to wait there at my house, that he was going to take the picture to her. If she verified that it was me, that he was going to come back and arrest me, for me not to go anywhere, to stay home that day. And I did. I was moving anyway. He never came back that day. I didn't hear anything, so I figured, okay, it's all taken care of. About a month later, I get a notice in the mail from the DMV stating that someone has inquired as to my driving record. Then I get a letter from the Sheriff's Department stating that I need to appear in court on charges of a hit and run and property damage. And
Do you have a copy of that letter?
I don't have a copy of the letter, but I was summoned to court.
You have a copy of the summons?
No, this is the court dates and the days I appeared in court.
Am I correct, Miss Jones, that the trial in this case commenced? Jury was selected.
Yes.
The first witness was called by the people.
Yes.
That was this lady right here.
Yes.
The second witness that was called was her mother. I assume that's you.
Mother-in-law.
You're not her mother, are you?
No.
Then be quiet. Then the matter was adjourned.
Yes.
And when everybody came back, the district attorney moved to dismiss the case.
Yes.
The district attorney moved before you even had an opportunity to put on your case. At the end of their case, the district attorney said, we move to dismiss in the furtherance of justice. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, this report says that they found on your U-Haul a smudge of blue paint that was consistent with the blue paint on the car, her car.
Yes.
Can you explain that to me?
Yes, I can. When she got on the right-hand side of the truck and she was driving and cussing and carrying on, she skinned the side of the truck. At 35 miles, and she claimed that I hit her, that she skid and collided with me at 35 miles.
No, I read what she said.
Okay, these are the photos.
I read the exact statement she gave to the police, which contained no information about her boyfriend being in the car, anything like that. As far as her statement to the police was concerned, you were total strangers and you totaled her car, and so may I see the photographs that you have?
In the photographs, you will see her car. The hood of it is dented and the grill is missing, but she admitted in court that that was damage that was done previously, that was not damage caused by the U-Haul. At 35 miles an hour, she wouldn't have had a front.
Okay. Now I'd like to hear you.
On May 1st, I was coming from East Side. All of a sudden, I see this U-Haul truck approaching me on the opposite side. She turned to the left. I just put the steering wheel a little bit to the right. That's why she hit the car. I have my pictures right here. On the side, you can see that's when she hit it.
What's your boyfriend's name, or what was his name?
Gino.
Gino. Was Gino in the U-Haul it?
No.
Really? She says there was a person driving in the car who you knew. Is that true?
No. I don't know what.
Really?
I don't know who's. I don't know
Ms. Jones.
what she's talking about. I don't know who's this guy. No.
You know who that person is?
No. Even when I went to trial, they asked me. I didn't know him.
What about Michael?
Yes, I know that's the guy I knew.
You have Michael's telephone number?
Yes, I do.
I'll take it.
One.
Now, why do you believe that the district attorney moved to dismiss the case after you and your mother testified?
I don't know.
You have no idea? All right. What's your name, by the way?
Gino.
Gino! You weren't in the U-Haul at that day, were you?
Nope. And I've been with her for 19 months.
Okay. Well, let me go see if I can get in touch with Michael.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to see this person and to identify me, and I'll do the same thing to him. I am not going to let these people lie. No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica Jones says Martha Escada falsely accused her of hit and run. She claims Martha was trying to pull a scam.
Well, Michael isn't there, but maybe I can get some information from the district attorney. By the way, do you have any photographs of your cars?
Yes, and I have another question. Who's this guy that she's telling you that that guy knew me? I want to see this guy, and I want to see if he's telling the truth. I don't know this guy. I don't know what she's talking about. I mean, bring the guy, tell me to my face that he knew me, and I'll tell to his face that I knew him too.
The question is not whether this guy knew you, madam. The question is whether you pulled up on the side of her truck. There was somebody in the car that you wanted to talk to. She wouldn't pull over, and then you claimed that she hit your vehicle and took off. She says that the U-Haul, it did in fact come in contact with your car, but it was because you were driving like a nut. So
Nope.
I want to see what the district attorney
That
has to
is
say.
not
If
true.
I can find the district attorney's name here, Richard Quinones. Let's see if we can locate him. And you have the paperwork while we're getting, see if we can get the
I have the
number. You
police
have the
report right
paperwork?
here, and I have pictures of my car.
Okay, let me see.
Also wanted to show the character when the police went to serve her. She said they didn't live there, and they do.
They didn't live where?
Initially, when they went to serve her, and she said, "Oh, no one's here by that name. No one
Okay,
lives
bye.
here." And then the 10 days, my lost in pay, I brought my pay stub.
Just a second.
Okay.
I have to first find out whether these are false charges.
Okay.
That's what I have to find out.
Okay.
Do you understand?
All right. Yes, I do.
I mean, I wish I could get in touch with old Michael. That would make things easy. But since I can't, and you don't know the names of any of the other people.
No, I don't.
Okay. But why don't you have a seat?
Is it okay if I
Yes, is Mr. Quinones there, please?
Yo estaba discutiendo con ellos y yo me puse a un lado de ella.
Very good. Thank you very much, sir. I haven't been able to reach either the district attorney at this hour, nor Mr. Alexander, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
So I want you to just hang around, and I'll see you back here as soon as we are able to get either one of these two people who should be
Okay, I
able
just
to
gave him
give.
a cell phone number.
You have a cell phone number for whom?
Michael Alexander.
Oh, that's perfect. Maybe we can do that. Yes.
When they went to serve me to that address, I moved since December. So I don't live in that address anymore. I live in Lake LA.
It's not important. Why is that important?
Because she said that when they went looking for me at that address, somebody told the police officer that.
And I told her that wasn't important.
Okay.
The only thing that's important to me is whether or not you knew or appeared to have known someone who was driving in the truck with her on that date. And I would be also curious to find out why the district attorney moved on their own motion to dismiss this case after you and your mother testified. So we'll see you back here. Okay. Thank you. Well, I managed to speak to the assistant district attorney who handled the case. And after speaking to the assistant district attorney, he did in fact confirm to me that after the two of you testified, he decided to go out and have a personal look at the car that you say was damaged by the plaintiff. And after he made this personal inspection of the car, he believed that the damages to the car were inconsistent with the testimony that the two of you gave in court before she even had to put on her case. So he doubted your word, especially yours. That's number one. Number two, we were in fact successful in securing Michael Alexander's presence here for the recall. So, Bert, I believe Mr. Alexander is outside. Would you bring him in, please?
Sure thing, Judge. Michael Alexander?
Would you swear the witness, please?
Sure thing. Sir, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in the matters before you?
Yes, sir.
State your name for the record.
Michael Alexander.
Mr. Alexander, prior to coming into court just now, did you speak to Miss Jones?
Yes.
Did she tell you the questions that she thought I would be asking you?
No.
Okay. You helped her move sometime in, when was it, May?
Yes.
And you had a couple of other people that you had gotten to help
Yes,
her?
ma'am.
Who were those other people?
Keith and Jose.
Do you know their last names?
No. I met them at labor.
There came a time that Miss Jones came to your house to pick you up.
Yes.
And these two other men were with you in the truck and you moved one day.
Yes.
Do you remember the second day of your move?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember an incident involving this young lady right here?
Yes.
Look at me and tell me what you remember.
Well, I remember that we was traveling down Avenue K after we dropped off her furniture at her house and was headed back to the storage. And Jose said, that's my girlfriend. And I seen her throw a U-turn.
Jose, put your hand down. Jose said, that's my girlfriend.
Yes.
Where was she when he said, that's my girlfriend?
She was headed east coming down Avenue K.
And what happened next?
She threw a U-turn and she came up on the U-Haul and she was driving all erratic and fast. She was flashing her lights and blowing her horn and doing hand signals up out the window. And
Did Jose say anything to her?
he said, well, she asked him, do you want me to pull over? And he said, no, don't stop. She just wanted to argue. And so we kept going.
Did you see Jose after the move? Have you seen him since?
No.
Have not?
No, ma'am.
Is there any question in your mind that this was the young lady in the car?
No.
Look at me. What color car was she driving?
Blue.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. If you have any questions for Mr. Alexander, you can ask me and I will ask him.
Okay. Who is this guy, Jose? I don't know nobody by that name, Jose. And I'm not going to let these people get away with it because they're lying. No. I want to see this person and to identify me, and I'll do the same thing to him. I am not going to let these people lie. No.
Miss Jones, I've been involved in the criminal justice system for a very long time. And I'll tell you right now, very rarely does a district attorney who takes a case to trial, impanels a jury of 12 people, wastes court time, expends time in preparing a case. Very rarely does a district attorney stand up at the end of their case and say, we don't believe our witnesses to the extent that we're moving to dismiss this case because we don't even want it to go any further. I mean, maybe on one hand I can remember that amount of time. This district attorney didn't believe you, didn't believe your mother about what happened. And I don't know who Jose is, but I certainly see the pictures of your car, and I've listened to her testify. I believe her. That's all I have to believe. I believe that you were having some sort of an argument with a guy who was in that U-Haul it, and you were behaving erratically. She wouldn't pull over. You got ticked off. You called, and I believe that there was contact with the U-Haul. There's no question in my mind that there was contact with the U-Haul. It was your fault. And maybe you thought you could make a couple of bucks. No. That's what I think. That's what I think. And the fact that you called the police. Have you ever been incarcerated before, Miss Jones?
No.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an accountant.
I think that not only did you cause her trouble, because I looked at how many times she had to appear in court based upon your phone call to the police that was fraudulent. She had to appear in court. She had to be embarrassed. There's a certain embarrassment about it. When it was your fault and you lied. And she's entitled to what she's asking for, which is $5,000. And I'm entering a judgment for that. $5,000 for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
Excuse, you may step out.
I'm happy with the outcome, and I feel that justice was served.
I don't have no comment with this lady.
I had a sick daughter at the time, and she was in cancer treatments, and it was hard, and it was just uncalled for, and I'm very satisfied with the judgment.
She's lying to her team.
Go to judgejudy.com and fill out the form and get on the show.
Yeah.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brewer versus O'Reilly. Step forward, please.
Sales manager Bill Brewer is suing his ex-mother-in-law, retired postal worker Val O'Reilly, for an unpaid loan to visit her family. Val says the money was a gift so she could pay for her mother's funeral.
Mr. Brewer, how long were you married to the defendant's daughter?
Approximately 2 years, Your Honor.
Is this your former wife?
Yes, it is.
Do you have children together?
No, we did not.
And how long did you know her before you married her?
Approximately 2 years.
So you've known Miss O'Reilly for 4 years, or at the time of the divorce.
Yes.
And you claim a loan to her, a recent loan, in the amount of $1,500. Is that right?
Back in April of 2001, yes.
In what year were you divorced from her daughter?
We split up in March of 2000.
And you maintained a reasonable relationship with the defendant?
Yes. After we split up, we probably talked at least maybe once, twice a month. You know, we'd just chat to see how things were going. She cared about what was going on, and she honestly didn't like what her daughter was doing to me. So, yeah, I thought we had a civil friendship, and we chatted and emailed and stuff like that, yes.
Did you give her a check for this loan?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have the check?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
If I can add also, Your Honor, 2 weeks before I had loaned her the money, the defendant's daughter had called me and asked if I wanted to buy the ring back. And
buy what ring back?
The wedding ring. Because when we split up, I asked for it back anyways, and of course that wasn't the right thing to do.
Was your wife at that time living with her mother?
No, she wasn't.
Now tell me about this loan in April of 2001. What was it for?
Well, the defendant would like to go to Florida to see her sister, I think yearly. So she called me. Said, Bill, if at all possible, she wasn't threatening me, if at all possible, do you have some money I can borrow? I need to put some money down for my ticket and the hotel room and whatnot. At the time, I was, still trying to be a decent guy, had a little extra money in the bank, and I said, sure, no problem. She agreed to pay me back in August. I said, okay, I could do that for you, Val, because I thought we had somewhat of a decent relationship still.
And she never paid you back?
No, ma'am, no.
Okay. Now, Miss O'Reilly, in what month did your mother die?
My mother died in April of 2001, Your Honor.
When in April?
The 29th of April.
Okay. Now I'd like to hear what your defense is, because I find that interesting.
My mother was 93 years old, and she was in a nursing home, and she was dying. The first part of April, they didn't think that she would live very much longer.
She died April 29th, according to you.
Right, that's when she died. But she was dying.
She was sick.
Hospice was called in. And she wanted to, since she and Bill Brewer were friends and they were on a good rapport together, she liked Bill. We all did at one time. She asked hospice to call him and tell him goodbye for her, that she was dying. They didn't expect her to live.
Did that happen?
No, ma'am. They never called.
Just a second. Would you get to the $1,500, please?
Okay. They called him and told him she was dying. He called back and said he was sorry that she was, going to die.
Would you get to the...
I told him that she had bought her lot years ago, that her cremation was paid for, because he asked me how she was going to be buried. And I said she was going to be cremated. And I couldn't believe that, because even when she owned the lot, that it would cost $500 to open the grave to put her ashes in the grave. That amazed me. Then it would cost $200 more for an urn. It had to be bronze. I couldn't put her ashes in the box that came in from the crematorium. And the marker was $800. And I said that Graham, that's what we called her, Graham would just have to wait a while before but I could do this. And he said, don't worry about it. He said, I'm making good money now. And he said, let this be my gift to you. It was a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Because he thought so much of my mother.
And you say that this conversation took place while your mother was still living?
She was dying, yes.
While she was still living,
yes.
You had this conversation with him?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bill Brewer says ex-mother-in-law Val O'Reilly owes for a loan to visit her family. Val says the money was a gift.
All right. Now, what I find interesting about your position, Miss O'Reilly, is I want you to look at this document. Tell me if this is your signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, it is my signature.
Good. Can I see the document back, please? That is your sworn answer to his complaint. And I'm going to read to you what you wrote. In April of 2001, my 93-year-old mother passed away. The plaintiff had been very fond of my mother and called to give me his condolences shortly after she passed away. I told him that she would be cremated and mentioned I couldn't believe the cost of the urns, services, and burial. He was sympathetic and said he would give me the $1,500 towards the burial as a gift because he cared so much about my mother and wanted to do this for me. That's what you swore to. Do you understand that that's what you swore to?
Yes, Your Honor. May I say something, please?
No. That's what you swore to. And your mother died the 29th of April. This check was written to you on the 20th of April, 9 days before your mother died. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Your answer does not support this.
It was a stressful month. It was full of trauma. She was dying. She had hospice.
This is not a stressful month, madam. We are talking about some 13 or 14 months later. 13 or 14 months later, you wrote, he called to give me his condolences shortly after she passed away. You told me she died on the 29th of April. The check that he wrote to you was on the 20th of April, 9 days before she died.
Right. I had talked to him previously before then, before she died.
That's what you just told me now. That's not what you swore to in your answer. He has no responsibility to pay for your mother's burial.
No,
what
he
I
didn't.
want to know
He
is
offered
what
it as a
changed your
gift.
mind between the time that he gave you this $1,500 and the time that you were supposed to pay him back. Did something happen with your daughter? Were they separated and going through a divorce? Is there something negative that happened during that 6-month period? And I will ask you, Mr. Brewer, to tell me.
Well, I didn't think there was anything out of the ordinary. Yeah, we were separated. We were going through a divorce.
When were you ultimately divorced?
It wasn't until, I'd say, August of 2001. Yeah, right about the time that she was going to pay me back.
Did you both have lawyers in the divorce?
It was a simple divorce, so we just...
So there was no issue of property, no issue of money?
No children, no property, no.
Is that right? You can stand up.
I'd like to shed a little light on this divorce situation and his behavior. It was anything but civil. The man professed his love for me one day and tried to choke me to death the next. He was very violent. He's a very unpredictable, erratic, temperamental person.
Your Honor, does this have any bearing in the...
Just a second.
I'm just stating the facts.
Your mother filed an answer that is totally inconsistent with the facts in this case. Her answer says he gave her this money after your grandmother died when he called to offer his condolences and she said she was short for the burial. The check was written 9 days before your grandmother died, which is totally inconsistent with her testimony. As far as I'm concerned, he has absolutely no responsibility to pay for your grandmother's funeral.
Correct,
The dates are off, and if you were going through an acrimonious time with him, and if you say he is abusive, controlling, and threatening, I would question why you would permit, because you're an adult, you're over 21, clearly, why you would permit this violent, abusive man to whittle into your family business by paying for your grandmother's funeral.
I urged her not to take the money.
Good, then you should have said, I'll give you the money.
I urged her, but she had no idea the extent of his behavior.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Step out.
Wonderful guy. We all were fooled.
I called, I had left messages.
He's caused a lot of pain for our family.
I sent letters, she returned them.
I truly cannot believe that he would stoop this low.
Didn't respond to me, so I thought this was the only choice.
He traumatized her for months and months before she had him leave the house.
We had our moment.
And I didn't know about it until after the divorce. She didn't want me to worry.
Half the things that I did, yeah, I'll take blame for it, but you know what? She had her moments too.
He tried to choke me to death. He was vindictive, and he's trying to get at us again.
Not saying I was an angel.
I can't believe that he would go through these lengths.
I did it as a friend.
He's a liar.
If you can't afford to lose it, don't loan it.
Don't get married.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Poulter versus Miller. Step forward, please.
53-year-old truck driver Craig Poulter is suing his ex-girlfriend, 28-year-old purchasing agent Heidi Miller, for an unpaid loan to buy a car. Heidi says Craig bought the car as a gift.
Mr. Poulter, you claim a loan to the defendant in the amount of $3,000 some odd so that you could purchase a car.
Yes.
The defendant says it was never a loan, never intended to be a loan. What was your relationship to the defendant?
Well, Heidi and I had met in about June of 2000, and shortly thereafter started dating and ended up in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And during the course of that relationship, which lasted about a year and a half, Heidi had mentioned that the vehicle she was driving at the time was being too costly for her to afford. We discussed the situation and came up with an idea that at the right time, when the right car came along, to purchase a different vehicle, and then she would be able to get rid of the one that she really couldn't afford owning.
Was it a leased car that you had?
Yes.
It's a lease?
Yes.
And how much was the lease?
$369 a month.
So does that sound right so far?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay, go ahead.
So it was the 25th of June 2001, and we spotted a nice-looking used car for sale by private owner. We decided to stop and take a look at this vehicle, knowing that she would sooner than later be getting rid of the Blazer. When we came back from the test ride, I told her that if we can make the right deal with the gentleman for the right amount of money, I think it would be a good car for her to have.
Okay.
And at that time, I said, as far as paying me back for the car, we can work that out later. Let's first take care of what's important, is to get you a car.
Are you telling me that you had a discussion with her at that point about paying you back the money?
There was some short discussion about it. It wasn't a real long conversation.
I mean, it might sound right. It sounds right to me that you might say, listen, if we can make a good deal on this car, let's do it. But it doesn't sit right with me that you would say at that moment, and then we'll talk about paying me back, you know, later. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay.
But there was some mention of that getting a payment plan set up down the road or something, but I don't remember exactly
At that moment. I'm talking about at that moment.
Yes.
All right. I'm not sure if I believe that. Go ahead. So what happened? So you went and you made a deal with the man?
Yes.
You did alone?
Yes.
Okay.
And I wrote a personal check for the car, and I have a copy and
I'd like to see it.
of that signed cash check.
Okay.
Um,
And then she took possession of the car. You registered it in your name?
Yes.
And when did you turn back the leased car?
It was shortly after that, because I had to, I took a loss on this Blazer that I had, and so what I had to do is I had to finance $5,000 for the loss on a Blazer that I no longer have, and actually I'm still paying for it. So once I sold that, which was actually probably about a month or two after he had bought the car for me.
Okay.
So
now, when did you and the defendant end your relationship?
It was towards the end of 2001.
Between June, when you purchased the car, and December, did she make any payments to you?
No.
Did you have any discussions about it?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, I have two separate emails from 2 separate days where I had mentioned to her by email about wanting repayment, and her replies are on my emails. Your Honor, my comments are highlighted in blue and hers are in yellow.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Craig Poulter says ex-girlfriend Heidi Miller owes for a loan to buy a car. Heidi says Craig has been harassing her.
Would you show this to the defendant, please? Okay. Ms. Miller, those emails, especially yours, don't seem consistent with your defense, which is that this car was a gift.
The reason, if I said those things, I don't remember. It was such a long time ago.
It's not so long ago in the scheme of things.
But I said this basically said those emails to appease this man. He's very controlling of me. I had to get a restraining order against him after all this whole thing. It was just to get him to back off.
Just a second. These were in September. You didn't break up with him until later on in the year.
Actually, we broke up in September. It was such an on and off relationship.
Well, then it was back on again.
No, it was not.
Well, you want to go on and continue then and tell me about these emails that you sent, which seem to indicate that he was telling you, don't worry about getting a part-time job to start to pay me back. Because you said, I'll get a part-time job and pay you back. He said the most important thing is that you get a good full-time job.
Which I
and then you
have.
can start paying me back. And you say, I'm really stubborn. I know I want to pay you back, and I'm going to pay you back. Now, you say that on 2 separate occasions.
Just to appease him, because he was harassing me with phone calls and with different emails that I don't keep every single email that is sent to me. I'm sorry that I don't. But if I could, you know, I have the emails when I had gotten the order of protection, and
let's get to the money.
I don't owe him for it. It was a gift. At the time of when we purchased the car, we never talked about anything about that I was going to repay him or anything. He went and took for a test drive. I had nothing to do with the car. He came back to me and said, this is a good car for you.
Okay.
Your Honor, I also have an audio tape recording that I made of a conversation between Ms. Miller and I. We have queued up one of the most important parts of the tape.
I'll hear it.
Thank you.
Yeah? What are we going to do, Heidi? I don't know. I can't believe in all this time you haven't been able to send any money at all. Exactly, me either. Things are tight. Okay, plain and simple, Heidi. What is the next step? I don't know.
I asked her point blank on the conversation, and it's in this tape. I said, Heidi, are you trying to say that you don't owe me the money for the car? And she very frankly answers, no, I know I owe you.
No, it's clear to me, sir, that she owes you for the car.
It was just miscued.
It's clear to me that she owes you for the car.
Thank
She
you.
acknowledges on the tape she owes you for the
And
car.
I
She
also
acknowledges
have-
in the email she owes you for the car.
Right, and I have my
Only
daughter
today
as a
she
witness.
says she doesn't owe you for the car.
That's
Only today. Now, if you had $369 of car payments for a Blazer that you couldn't afford, and if you gave him $100 a month, which would cut your expenses substantially, then you could pay the car off in 30 months and you wouldn't have a problem. Or if you gave him $50 a month, but you gave him nothing.
Well, I had to play for that Blazer loan, that $5,000 loss.
Whose fault is that? Is that his fault?
Yes, because he told me that was the best thing for me to do, was to get rid of that Blazer.
Hey, listen.
That's what he told me to do.
You look like a very strong, strapping girl, and there is absolutely no reason why you let somebody else make decisions for you. Sounds to me as if you made your own decision to lease a Blazer. You could have leased a car that you could buy or lease for $150 a month. You decided to lease a big one.
I was married when I rented that lease.
Who cares? That's not his fault either. In any event, he was trying to be helpful. He expected repayment. You broke up with him. I don't know why. I'm not interested. You owe him $3,075. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, are excused. You may step out.
Why would someone that you're not in a relationship continue to send you gifts?
There was nothing harassing.
We ended the relationship in September. He continued to send me flowers every single month.
Even the judge at the restraining order hearing told me he agreed there was nothing threatening.
He is just a controlling man.
Only in regards to the money that she owed me.
Case number 2075, Johnson versus McIntosh. All parties, please step forward.
Dominique Johnson is suing her children's uncle, Chris McIntosh, for a truck she never received.
Miss Johnson, this is your brother-in-law. I believe that, is it your husband or is he your ex-husband?
No, it's just my kid's father.
Okay. The father of your children is currently incarcerated?
Yes.
So he's not your brother-in-law, he's just the brother of the father of your children?
Yes.
Okay, you have 2 children?
I have 3.
Is he the uncle of all 3?
Yes.
Okay. There came a time when you were in need of a new vehicle or a different vehicle. Your car was giving you trouble.
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh, according to what I've read, has tried to maintain a relationship with his brother's children.
Yes.
Despite the fact that you no longer have a relationship with him.
Yes.
And according to what I'm putting together, you reached out to him, or you were on the phone with him and told him you needed another car.
Yes.
And according to you, he said he had a car, a truck.
Yes.
That he would sell you for $2,700.
Yes, that he would personally bring to me.
And he did, in fact, bring you a truck.
He didn't.
So on what date did you buy it?
I don't.
Think. You know, you're coming to court today. You knew that this was the issue when you came here.
Yeah.
Not yeah, yes.
Dominique Johnson claims her children's uncle, Chris McIntosh, owes for the cost of a truck she never received.
According to you, he said he had a car, a truck.
Yes.
That he would sell you for $2,700.
Yes, that he would personally bring to me.
And he did, in fact, bring you a truck.
He didn't.
Never brought you a truck.
Never brought me the truck, never returned my money, anything.
Oh.
I even tried
Just a second.
Okay.
So you sent him the $2,700.
Yes.
What date?
June 21st of this year.
What happened to her $2,700?
Bought the truck there and then dropped it off.
What truck did you bring there?
2007 Suburban.
And where did you get that truck from?
I got it from an auction.
Okay, I'd like to see the paperwork.
I don't have the paperwork.
Well, that's unfortunate. Why wouldn't you bring the paperwork? It's only a couple of months ago.
Because the auction is every first Thursday. It's not the same person running the same auction. They don't have the same paperwork for the auction.
Well, if you had paperwork, you would have also have had a title for it.
Yeah, and I left it in the glove compartment box.
What's the name of the auction?
Towing.
Where are they located?
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Sarah, would you look that up, please? She did send you the money.
Correct.
How did she send it to you?
Cash App.
Yep, which I have proof, Your Honor.
No, there's only one issue. She says that you never brought any truck. You say, well, you bought this truck at an auction. The auction is every Thursday?
Every first Thursday of the month.
First Thursday. So on what date did you buy it?
I don't.
Think. You know, you're coming to court today. You knew that this was the issue when you came here.
Yeah.
Not yeah, yes. So what date was it that you bought the truck? That you have no paperwork
Thursday.
for at all?
Thursday.
Which Thursday?
What month was that I bought you the truck? I really don't know. Like, I'm being so serious right now. Like,
Honestly, if I could speak, it was June 21st I sent him the money. June 21st was when he was supposed to bring the truck to me. He never bought the truck. Then he stated to me that he sold the truck and that he had another one that was less, and I have that truck as well. This was the first truck initially I was supposed to get.
Did he ever bring you any truck?
No, not at all.
Do you have any phone messages?
I do.
I'd like to see them, please.
And towing. It's a towing and auction house.
Okay, say when they have auctions?
It doesn't list it on their website, but I could try and see.
It's a lot of them, honestly, a lot of messages.
I have those dates of the auction. They list their past auctions. There was one May 5th of this year, June 5th of this year, July 2nd, August 6th, and September 3rd of this year.
June
all
what?
Most recent. June 5th. And I actually have a list of every car that was included in that June 5th auction. So if you give me the make and model, I could see if it was included in that auction on June 5th.
You went in June for the auction or in July?
yeah, June 5th.
He said a 2007 Yukon, right?
No, Suburban.
2007 Suburban.
There was actually two different trucks that...
Well, that's the one he said he bought.
The only car from 2007 at the June 5th auction was a 2007 Nissan Murano.
Nissan Murano. Wasn't a Nissan Murano. That was the only one that was sold in June 2007.
It was sold in 2007, but I bought a 07 Tahoe Suburban.
I understand that. But you say you bought it in June, and they list on the website everything that they sold in the June auction. Am I understanding that right, Sarah?
Yes.
They list all the cars that they sold in the June auction. And the only car that they sold that was a 2007 was a Murano. He says, and I will be leaving in about an hour or two after I get the Venmo. Would you please just put where you start to ask for your money back because you didn't get the truck? That's what I want to see. I want my money back because you didn't bring me the truck.
There was no Chevy Tahoe 2007 at the July 2nd auction.
Either.
And a lot of the vehicles, a select few, are above $1,500, and that's for newer models. Everything else is under $950.
Thank you. There was no such car either in June or July.
No.
Okay. That's so interesting that they have that information on a website. Ms. Johnson, you can't just give me your phone and expect me to go through pages. All I want, you said you had something indicating that you told him you wanted your money back because you didn't get a truck. Okay. So far, there's no evidence that he bought you a truck from the place that he said he bought you a truck.
Yep, here's the part where I'm asking for the money back. He doesn't have proof that he even bought the truck.
No, there is no proof that he bought the truck.
He never bought the truck. Okay, so starting from here, this is me asking if he wanted to just cash at me back my money because he never showed up.
Read it to me.
Oh, okay. It says, do you want to just cash at me back the whole $2,700 because all this waiting isn't necessary. It's just a few taps to cash at me back my money. We can say forget the whole thing because now this isn't sitting well with me. This was supposed to be easy. I don't have my truck or my money. Like, how does that work? And then I offered to just go down there and get it myself. And then he said that there was no place. I said, okay, but how do I get it home with no place? So this whole time he was kind of dragging me on. And then this is the picture of another truck that he sent me.
That's a picture of him?
Yeah, he's posing in front of the truck, the second truck he supposedly had bought for me.
At the auction, yeah. He just told me he bought the second truck at an auction. There's no indication that that auction house where he said he bought it sold a truck that he said that he bought, either in June or July. Got that right?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have to waste any more time. You have no paperwork, Mr. McIntosh, that you bought this truck. You have no proof at all that you brought this phantom truck to her house. Why would she be asking for her money back?
Because I bought her a truck and I dropped it off in front of her house, left her the paperwork saying what's wrong with the truck and the truck. She says that she didn't want it, so I said my finder's fee was only like $400, and that's $200 for just a bus ticket to get there. She can sell the truck and get her money back. That's what I told her.
$2,700, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I hope this don't affect the relationship with my nieces and nephew.
I'm not really here to bad talk anybody. I just wanted, my money back.
I left her there with the papers and the receipts.
Right is right, wrong is wrong.
She said she didn't want it. I told her she can sell it back, get her money back.
I feel like he kind of screwed it up in a way.
I just want to be a good uncle all the time.
I love when a website is so meticulous and gives us all the evidence that we need. This website had a very well planned out photos.
A towing company.
Towing and auctioneer house had every single auction, every car that was sold, photos, the username of the person who purchased it, and the price of the vehicle.
I can't imagine a company like that doing that voluntarily. And it has to be by law to be licensed in order to avoid stolen cars being auctioned off. Has to be very smart.
Yeah, good way to track the evidence.
That was impressive. Yeah. Thank you.
Emmett Moss is suing his former friend, Nadine Drury, for unpaid loans.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, everybody.
Hello, Judge.
How are you, Captain?
Case number 2015, Moss versus Drury.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Moss, prior to leasing an apartment with the defendant, had you known each other?
Sort of.
Tell me a sort of.
So we met one time about a year prior. We have mutual friends, one of which had asked me to get ordained to marry her and her husband. So I flew in town to do that, and Nadine was there at their house when I flew in. We saw each other for a few minutes, and that's actually the only time we've ever met in person.
And there came a time when you were looking for an apartment where?
I was looking for an apartment in the Salt Lake area.
And where had you been living?
In Seattle.
And where were you living, Miss Drury?
In Salt Lake City.
You were looking to move?
Yes.
So other than that one-time meeting when you were officiating at a mutual friend's wedding, you hadn't met before, but somebody suggested that you were looking for an apartment, you were looking for a new apartment, and perhaps you could rent an apartment together.
Yes, that's
fair statement?
In fact.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in what month and year did that happen?
It would have been in October of 2020 that this arrangement sort of came to be like, hey, maybe you should see if Nadine...
Okay, but you did, in fact, sign a lease together. Who found the apartment?
Nadine did.
You did. Prior to signing the lease, Mr. Moss, had you seen the apartment?
No.
No is the answer. Did you ever see the apartment, other than videos or photographs of it?
No, I never saw
Prior to signing the lease?
Correct.
Also correct?
Correct.
On what date was the lease signed?
On the 7th of November of 2020.
The rent on the apartment was how much?
It was $585 a month each.
$1,170, Your Honor.
So $585 per month each. You both signed it on the same day. Did you move in?
I did.
On what date?
November 8th.
And you were still in Seattle?
Correct.
Did you ever move into the apartment?
Never.
Okay. And that is also correct?
Correct.
Because for whatever reason, you decided to stay in Seattle?
Correct.
Is that work-related or socially?
Social.
And then you contacted her and told her that you weren't intending to move in?
Correct.
But that you would continue to pay your half of the rent. Is that also correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
And you were making a direct deposit to the account to pay the rent?
Yeah, it was an automatic payment from my account to the rental.
To the rental office?
Yes, to the rental office.
Then you came to find that Miss Jury had stopped paying her portion of the rent. When did you stop making payments on your portion of the rent?
In January.
So you paid either full or partial for November because you moved in on the 8th, and you paid December's rent.
Correct.
And you stopped paying rent in January. Why?
I lost my job in December of 2020.
So I'm going to outline now what this case is about.
Yes.
Mr. Moss continued paying his half of the rent until you found a roommate.
Correct.
And you found a roommate when?
I believe I found him in February, and he moved in the month of March and started paying his half of the rent.
So you didn't pay rent January or February?
Correct.
2 months?
Correct.
And you had no work?
Correct.
When you found out that the rent wasn't being paid, according to you, in order to not impact your credit, you spoke to her. She said, I don't have a job. You said, I can help you out. I'll send you money. Mm-hmm. Is that generally what happened? Then I'll get into...
That's generally what happened, but there is a little more detail to it.
I'm going to let you get to the details.
All right.
And you want that money back. The money that you advanced her in her time of need, which was how much in total?
The total is $3,360. She did at some point pay me $300 back, so the amount I am seeking is $3,060.
Okay. Are those figures accurate?
Yes.
And he gave you that money, not because you were good friends, because you were a relative. He had met you one time.
Right.
And he had, in fact, said to you, I will continue to pay my rent, even though I know you from hole in the wall. I will continue because I signed this lease until you find someone to get me off the lease.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And your defense, it seems to me, to this action is that he was really trying to scam the government by depleting his bank account so he could collect food stamps or whatever.
No.
And as a result of that, because he wasn't being honest with the government, you shouldn't have to pay him back. I just want to know if that's what I'm reading correctly.
There was never an agreement to pay back.
That's a different story. I'm going to read this over because, you know, I'm getting elderly, and I may not have recalled exactly what you said in your answer. It doesn't say that here. It says several months later, it's after you found a new roommate, Emmett randomly reached out to me saying that I owed him money and demanded that I take out a personal loan to pay it. I refused. Emmett has some nerve. Not only did he break the lease, well, what difference does that make to you? He still was paying his half of the rent. So now you had a whole apartment by yourself and he was paying the rent, right? So why does he have some nerve? But he took advantage of me and used me to scam the system. So that's what I understand your defense is.
It is. I have video evidence, Your Honor.
Video of what?
Of Emmett.
Of Emmett what?
Of Emmett explaining why he was trying to get on assistance and how he was like, it's fine for you to pay rent with this money because I'm trying to empty my bank account so that I can get on food stamps.
It is true.
Okay, just a second. Just a second. Let's say that's true. He's going, I'm just trying to, shh.
I furnished the down payment for the car.
Okay, so you bought 2 cars?
No, just one. I didn't have a vehicle at the time.
Oh, you know, I'm not believing you, sir. I'm really not buying this whole story.
Emmett Moss claims his former friend, Nadine Drury, owes for unpaid loans. Nadine says Emmett broke the lease they were both on.
I'm just trying to get your mindset. You know, I hate people who scam the system. But you got this money from him. And your defense is that he was trying to scam somebody else, so you shouldn't really have to pay him back, even though it was his money.
It was his money.
It was his money that he took out of his bank and gave to you.
Right.
For no reason.
That I never agreed to pay back for a lease that he was legally on. He's responsible for that rent money no matter what.
You mean so you get to live there free?
No,
Well, just a second. So you get to live there free. If he paid for it for the months that you didn't, you got to live there free. He wasn't even living there. It's not as if he was living there and you didn't get to live there free. You lived there alone. And he was paying the rent.
Yes.
Well, why do you think you're not responsible for that once you get back on your feet?
We never talked about a repayment.
No.
That's not
okay. Now,
we definitely talked about repayment.
Now, I want you to explain to me and be very careful because, you know, I've been in this system a very long time. So I know about social services and I know about the system and I know about welfare and I know about food stamps. I know all about that. So you contact her.
Yes.
And she tells you she lost her job.
Yes.
Let's pick it up from there.
Okay. So I found out through the payment portal that she hadn't paid rent.
Yeah, we're past that.
Okay.
We're
I
past
contacted
that.
her about that. Well, there was.
Don't look up.
Apologies. I sent her money that night.
No. You contacted the portal, and then you had to have had a conversation with her.
Right.
If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Let's start with you contacted the portal, and you found out she hadn't been paying her rent. That was in January.
Correct. January the 2nd.
And January, she hadn't paid rent, and you called her, and she said to you...
She said to me that she didn't have money to pay, which I was aware of because she had previously told me that she I was aware that she had lost her job.
Just a second. How did you become aware that she had lost her job?
Because we were friendly with each other. We were talking several times a week via Facebook Messenger.
Fine. You knew that she lost her job.
Yes.
And I assume you knew if she lost her job and you were speaking several times a week. Let's be very careful. This isn't just calling the pay portal and finding out that this stranger who you met once wasn't paying her rent. You were speaking and you knew that she had fallen on difficult times. And?
I did. I didn't...
Don't go up here. Right here.
I didn't know that she wasn't going to pay rent on time.
No, just a second. You didn't know what?
On the 2nd was when I found out that the rent hadn't been paid.
On the 2nd of January?
The 2nd of January.
Just look at me. On the 2nd of January, you found out the rent hadn't been paid. What did you do?
So I called Nadine to ask about it, and you told me that she didn't have the money. And so I said, okay, I have these extra funds because I, at the time, was also unemployed. I had been taking payments, unemployment payments, and then the COVID payment.
And what?
The extra payments for COVID on top of unemployment, because this was 2020.
Welcome to Inflation 101.
Right. So all of my payments had been late and had come in a lump sum. So that is why I had extra
So your
money.
unemployment and your COVID funds came in one lump sum.
Correct.
And I want you to think very, very carefully. And you're living where, sir?
Seattle.
With whom?
At the time, I was seeking a roommate.
No. Where were you living?
So I was living in Seattle.
In Seattle with whom?
No one.
By yourself?
Yes. Technically, someone was paying rent because they had moved out.
You're looking up at the sky.
Sorry.
Don't look up at the sky. So somebody had moved out of their apartment.
Yeah.
Which had been prepaid in rent.
Yes.
So you were living there rent-free.
No. This was my apartment that I'd lived in for 3 years. And someone else had moved in and then moved out. And they broke the lease, not me.
They broke the lease, but they paid the rent.
Correct. They paid their half. I was still paying my half of rent. I never defaulted on my rental payments in Seattle ever.
And they were still paying theirs?
Yes. So we were both each paying our respective parts of the rent. And I was paying rent in Utah.
And you were paying rent where the defendant was living. Okay. So I want you to think very carefully. When you got your unemployment and your extra COVID money in a lump sum, how much did you get?
What?
No, don't look over there. You know exactly how much you got.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it. Just give me a number.
$10,000.
Well, that should last you for a little bit. And you got $10,000 on what date?
I don't remember.
Month?
It would have been in November.
Okay, so now she's run out of funds, and you say to her, go ahead.
By the time we get to January, I do not have $10,000. I have much less because of other circumstances.
Like what?
like needing to purchase a car for the girlfriend that I stayed in town.
A car?
Yes.
What else?
Rental payments. That's it. Nothing.
You bought your girlfriend a car?
I did. Her car that she had was a beater, and it was unsafe.
I don't care. What about your car?
I did use a down. I furnished the down payment for the car.
Okay, so you bought 2 cars?
No, just one. I personally didn't have a vehicle at the time.
Oh, I'm not believing you, sir. I'm really not buying this whole story. You're living by yourself with a roommate. The roommate moves out. Your girlfriend had a terrible car. You don't live with the girlfriend.
Don't.
But you bought her a car. You didn't have a car, but you bought her a car.
I had, if we need to back it up, I had given up my car in a bankruptcy earlier in the year because of...
In whose bankruptcy?
My bankruptcy.
Your bankruptcy.
That is why I didn't have a car.
It's getting better all the time. Okie dokie.
It was an interesting year.
That doesn't mean you don't owe money. It just means I have to know the characters that I'm dealing with.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay. While you were going to the program, which you said it was in person, were you getting any government assistance that was connected to this trade school? That's either a yes or a no.
Emmett Moss has accused his former friend, Nadine Drury, of refusing to pay back loans. Nadine claims she was used by Emmett to scam the government.
So now you've got much less money from the $10,000. You bought your girlfriend a car, you had to pay her rent, you paid your own rent, you had other things from bankruptcies that you had before, so you have a little bit of money left in the bank.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So
don't look over there, right here. No, look,
that evening of the 2nd, I paid Nadine a total of $710, enough to cover the rent of $585, any fees it would cost her to go and withdraw that money from the bank, and she also asked for extra money for groceries.
Just a second. You acknowledge a $3,000 amount of money that he gave you. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
You say that that's
That
correct.
includes the money that he's saying that he spent on rent, that he gave me for rent, and he's also asking for his deposit.
I am asking for my deposit.
The deposit for the apartment back.
Okay, well, he's entitled to that. You have a new roommate who I'm sure you got a deposit from.
She chose to not
And if you didn't?
collect a deposit from
What?
the roommate.
Well, that's her problem because
I
she's
agree.
going to get the deposit back.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's reasonable. She's going to get the deposit back when she leaves. When you leave, if you leave the place in good condition, he was never living there, so if you don't leave it in good condition, then it's on you. I want to know about this video that she wants me to look at, where you tell her some sort of a scheme you have to get more money from the government.
It wasn't a scheme.
Why don't you tell me about it? So far, we got $10,000 that was supposed to last you for 6 months, and you blew it on a car for your girlfriend. And so you may not call it a scheme. I want you to tell me why you had to have a zero bank account.
I didn't have to have a zero bank account.
A more limited access to money. What were you applying for, sir?
So
not so up here, so here.
Okay. I was applying for a program to go into the trades. So it was like a work study program, like electrician, plumber, that sort of thing. And again, I didn't have a job, and unemployment had completely stopped. And as far
How many years did you collect unemployment?
It was less than 1 year.
How many years had you worked?
How many years have I worked?
Yeah.
I've been working since I was 16. So
Well,
it's
I'm
been
surprised
14.
the unemployment totally ran out because they kept extending unemployment. People were on unemployment for years during COVID.
When they cut me off December of 2020, they did not reestablish my claim. I kept applying and it was denied. So I don't know why, but it was.
What kind of work do you do now?
I work for customer service.
Okay. And the trade school that you wanted to go to was to prepare you for what?
To be an electrician was what I wanted to do.
An electrician?
Yes.
And was this an online program?
No, this was in person.
Where?
It was in Seattle.
And how much did they give you to go to that program?
They didn't give me money to go to the program, but the program was free of charge.
Okay. So the government paid the tuition?
I believe that
Well, somebody pays the tuition, sir.
Yeah.
So the government pays the tuition. And while you were going to the program, which you said it was in person, how were you supporting yourself?
So,
were you getting any government assistance that was connected to this trade school? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, I applied for food stamps and got food stamps. That is what I got.
So you applied for some sort of assistance while you were going to this trade school, which you're not practicing now, and you're not an electrician.
That is correct.
And in order to apply for food stamps, you have to have a certain amount of money is the maximum you can have in your bank.
That is correct.
Okay. So that's the fraud you're talking about. That's why he gave you the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean,
just a second.
I also gave her the money because she was going to need the money for rent. Like, it was one of those situations where it was mutually beneficial for me to give her the money, but it wasn't.
You're looking up at the sky. I understand what happened.
So I wasn't going to have any way to support myself. I needed something to. The $2,000 was going to cover the rent for my place and my place in Seattle and my place in Utah, and then I wasn't going to have anything left.
I understand that it became mutually beneficial for you to advance her the money so that your bank account would have less in it so that you could receive assistance and also get free tuition at a trade school that you didn't use.
My intention was to use it, and I changed my decision later.
Do you think the trade school charged the government once you enrolled in it?
Yes.
Yes, of course they did. And you know how much the tuition was in the trade school? Yes, you have to know. No, it was free to you, but it wasn't free to the government.
Right,
the government pays.
$1,500 was what I was made to understand.
Baloney. You people really somehow deserve each other, but you owe him $3,000. Madam, judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I'm a little bit shocked to be made out as a government scammer.
I mean, I lost my job and I wasn't able, and he bailed on the lease that he signed.
Because that wasn't ever my intentions.
I mean, I was alone. I had lost my job. I just didn't have any support.
Definitely careful about getting money from the government.
Just glad it's done. Glad I don't ever have to see him again.
Haven't had to do that since this whole situation, and I intend to keep it that way.
You know, it's so unfortunate because that plaintiff looked like an intelligent enough man, able-bodied, seemingly, and he spent a lot of time, effort, brain power into bankruptcy proceedings, trade schools that would be paid for by the government, applying for food stamps, knowing what the threshold for food stamps is so that he had to get rid of a certain amount of money. That seems like a lot of time and effort that could have been better spent gaining legitimate employment or skills at a trade school legitimately. And it's just unfortunate that some people decide to take the path that I view as more difficult in searching for ways to get free money.
Really unsatisfying.
Yeah.
If you think about it, unsatisfying.
Maybe going forward, he'll take a different path.
Maybe.
Larissa Quella Ehlers is suing business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego for a refund on custom T-shirts.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2014, Quella Ehlers versus Gallegos.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Your last name is Ehlers?
Ehlers.
Ehlers.
Yes.
You have a son.
I do.
And he plays a sport.
He does.
What kind of a sport does he play?
He is in asphalt racing.
Is he on a team?
We have our own team. It's called Lionheart Racing.
And how many people are on the team?
He is the sole driver, but we have a pit crew of approximately 8.
And he doesn't wear a uniform. When he
wears
drives.
a race suit, yes.
He wears a race suit.
Correct.
So the T-shirts that you ordered from the defendant were for the 8 and crew.
It was to sell. My son has a congenital heart defect, and he was treated when he was very young at Chalk Hospital. So we sell shirts to donate the proceeds to Chalk Hospital.
To whom?
We sell shirts to fans, to the pit crew, to family, friends.
Well, pit crew is only 8 people. I assume you give them a shirt.
We do.
Yeah, of course. So the other ones you sell, if you could sell. How many years have you been selling these shirts?
2 years.
And last year, who made the T-shirts for you?
A place called Rush Order Tees.
Would you look that up, please?
Sure. It's an online T-shirt ordering.
And when they came last year, how many did you order?
We ordered 200 last year.
How many did you sell?
We sold all of them.
And how much were they? A piece?
They were $25 a piece.
To make?
To make 13, I believe.
So you were able to give a lot of money that year to your favorite charity.
Correct.
Why didn't you go back to rush order tees this year?
Sonia, the defendant.
No, I'm asking you, were satisfied with your product?
I was. And I was actually in the process of getting ready to place a new order when I received a call at my office asking if I would be interested in placing an order with their company that was a local company.
And who did you get that call from?
Sonia.
That's you.
Yes.
How did you get the plaintiff's number?
I was making calls to local businesses listed as members of the Placentia City Chamber of Commerce. Her place of business, Impact Properties, came up as a member, and I made a call, and she was the one that answered the phone.
And what did you say to her?
I introduced myself, and I let her know that we are a screen printing business here in Placentia, and I was reaching out to local businesses to see if they would be interested in ordering custom T-shirts, and if not, at least to let them know that we offer those services for future reference.
How much did you quote her per T-shirt?
So she ordered a few different garments.
Just tell me what you quoted her.
$14 per T-shirt.
That's $1 more than you had paid last year.
Correct.
Had you gotten a quote from Rush Order for this year?
Not yet.
Well, that would cut into your profit by about $200.
Except that I didn't have to pay shipping.
Rush Order isn't a large online reputable business for screen printing, bags, cups, shirts, things like that.
And you were happy with them last year?
Yes.
On what date did you place an order with the defendant's company for these T-shirts?
March 30th.
Do you have a written agreement?
I do.
May I see it, please?
I would like to note that the $14 quote was for 90 T-shirts, not 200. So that does.
I just want to see what the contract says. Okay. Yes, $14 was for 90. That was for short sleeved. Long sleeve printed was $16 plus tax. There's a setup fee, redraw artwork, extra large sizes. Well, this is not a signed agreement. However, the last sentence reads, by submitting your payment, you agree to these terms and conditions. You are verifying that all the information on the invoice is correct. You submitted payment.
I do have proof of payment, yes.
They don't dispute that you actually paid them because you had to pay them in advance.
Correct.
Okay, so this is a clear contract. And it's your claim that you were dissatisfied with the artwork, you had paid already, you want a refund, you did not use their T-shirts.
Correct.
And I believe you actually canceled or tried to reverse the credit card that you had used.
I tried to get a refund through PayPal, correct.
And according to you, that was denied because the defendant said that you had actually picked up the T-shirts.
Correct.
Okay.
And I have proof of that from PayPal.
I'd like to see that.
The incorrect logo was used.
Okay. Before I get into the substantive part of it, whether or not you liked the artwork or not, who was contacted by PayPal? Which one of you?
That would be, he handled the PayPal claim.
I took care of PayPal.
You took the call from PayPal?
Yes.
When you had communication with PayPal, do you have any proof, written proof of your communication, or did you just speak to PayPal verbally on the phone?
Both. We talked on the phone, and we also, PayPal documents our conversations via email through the website.
Did you tell PayPal that the plaintiff had picked up the merchandise?
Yes.
Well, that's not true.
It is true. She picked up the merchandise.
No. I don't believe that, sir. I believe she was dissatisfied with the merchandise. But unless you can prove to me that she picked up the merchandise, I don't believe that. Okay. Because she may be a tough cookie, and she may have gotten crazed with you and said miserable things about you in her review, but she would not be here today if she picked up the merchandise.
Her event was the next day. The day she picked them up, it was the day before her event.
Who gave it to her?
We gave it to her.
Not we. No, not we. Who gave it to her?
I gave it to her?
You're asking me a question, sir. You're asking me a question.
Her order was...
Just a second. Mm-hmm. You have a business?
Yes.
You're in a building. Is there a reception area in the building?
Yes.
Did you tell PayPal that they were picked up from the reception area in the building?
I don't recall.
I want you to think about it. Mm-hmm. I want you to think about it. Did you tell PayPal that they were picked up in a reception area in your building?
I don't recall if I said the reception area or my office. I'm not sure the terminology I used.
Well, what was it, reception area or your office?
My office is
that's a question.
Area. My reception area is in my office. I don't recall exactly what I told PayPal, but she did pick them up that day, and that's what I told PayPal.
No, I don't believe you.
Okay. That's what we're here for.
No, that's what we're here for. Because sizing her up, she's a tough cookie.
Yes.
And she, as I said, might have been dissatisfied with the logo, which I don't necessarily have to even go into now. What the screen was like, what the colors were off, or whatever it was, I don't have to go into that. Because if I believe that she did not pick up the merchandise, and you told PayPal that she did pick up the merchandise, she gets her refund back. Now, so I'm going to come back to you. You didn't like the way they looked.
Correct.
I don't care why. Did you have other shirts made?
I did. I have one of them here today.
Do you have an invoice for the other shirts? Who did you have them made by?
Rush Order Tees.
That's easy. When did you have them made by Rush Order Tees?
I had them made in May.
Well, that's about 30 days later. And did you sell them?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Pull up an order from your phone for Rush Order Tees, please. While you're looking at it, just tell me, how much did you pay for them from Rush Order Tees, and how many did you order?
It was just slightly over $2,000. I believe we ordered 110 T-shirts.
Okay. And you got them sometime in May?
Correct. I'm sorry, that was April 26th was the exact date.
May I see it, please?
There's my order.
It was 1828.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Gallagher, she ordered the T-shirts within a couple of weeks and got them from another company, which suggests to me that if she picked up your T-shirts, she would not have done that. Do you understand?
I don't
Do you
agree with
understand?
that. No, I don't. Because if she
you may
ordered
not,
200...
you may not like it, but ladies may be, to you, abrasive, because that's what you say in here. She may be abrasive, but she would not ask for a refund through PayPal if she had picked up. If she had picked up the merchandise, she would not have done that.
The previous year she ordered 200, and this year she ordered 100 from me, 100 from them, which same is consistent, 200 shirts.
I can answer to that if you'd like.
She picked them up.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
We ordered a smaller quantity this year because many of our friends had already purchased them the previous year.
Whatever. I don't believe that you picked them up. I believe that you got angry because they weren't exactly what you wanted. You looked at them, but there's no question that it was an easy answer for him to give when PayPal called and said she picked them up from the reception area. Okay, and I don't believe that. So you have to get your refund back because you were dissatisfied and because you lied. There was an incident between the plaintiff and your husband, and you came in. Did you say something to her?
Yeah, I did.
Don't.
I didn't want to talk to her.
No.
Larissa Kuala-Ehlers claims business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego owe for a refund on custom T-shirts. Ernie and Sonia are countersuing for defamation.
But that doesn't justify.
What?
We did do all the work. The printing is the very last part of the order. We did the graphic work. We printed samples. We went above and beyond to try to make her happy, and she was completely unreasonable. There was
listen, I said to you,
yeah,
she may be a completely unreasonable customer.
right.
That's possible. Fortunately, I don't have to go into that because the reason your husband gave PayPal for not giving her a refund was because she took the merchandise. And I don't believe that. I believe she may have been, in your eyes, a totally unreasonable customer. And if your husband had said to PayPal, we were ready, willing, and able, we fulfilled our contract to the letter, and we could just not satisfy this lady. The merchandise is here, ready to be picked up. It was always ready to be picked up. He didn't. He told them she got it, and that was not true. And that, Miss Gallagher, is why she gets her refund back.
Her event was the day before. We were on a crucial deadline. We have our employees working overtime, getting her job done. We have receipts of all the items that were printed, that were ordered. She came in the day before her event, picked up what we had completed. I had completed approximately 72 shirts. She took one box out of 2 that day. She was going to come back for the rest. She left with what she had for her event. She even posted pictures on social media of our shirts.
Oh, that I would like to see. Did you pick up any boxes from him?
I picked up no boxes. And the event that he's referring to, my son has a race on the second Saturday of every month. I had asked for those shirts to be ready by his April race, but because they were not, I didn't have shirts for him until the March race. Every shirt that you see in my social media or my son's social media is the shirts that we purchased from Rush Order Tees.
I'd like to see.
This is our sample picture.
No, I want to see what.
Oh, here.
Is that one of the shirts that you prepared for her?
This is on her social media account. And then this is also just the graphic work that we did on her social media page.
Which social media account?
I'll find out.
We know that's our shirts because I did the graphic design work. All the logos she gave me were like different colors. They were full color. They had black backgrounds. I revised, redrew everything, and converted them all to white.
Just 1 second.
I did the graphic work, and they're all in PNG form, so all you have to do is change them
If
to
she
white.
did the graphic work, then why would she pay us to do the graphic work?
And I have an email printout of the graphic she submitted to us. It's not print ready.
Oh, I don't care about that. I'm not getting into those weeds.
I have copies of all of the JPEGs.
According to you,
yes.
I'm going to go back. He said that there were 2 boxes ready.
There were 2 boxes ready.
There's 2 boxes ready, but that wasn't all the shirts.
There was
2 boxes. The 2 boxes were not all the shirts. How many shirts were in a box?
72.
So what you're telling me is that she picked up 72 shirts.
Yes.
Okay. Go back and tell me. Just refresh my recollection as to what he said about the 2 boxes of shirts. Well, we had 2 boxes of shirts ready.
I didn't pick up a thing. They wouldn't even let me take a sample.
She took 1 box out of 2 that day. She was going to come back for the rest.
Were there only 2 boxes or were there more than 2 boxes?
2 boxes.
Did you tell PayPal that she did not take half of the merchandise?
I told PayPal that we filled 72 pieces when I talked to him on the phone.
That's not what PayPal said to her, sir. That's not what PayPal said.
I'm not sure what PayPal said to her.
PayPal said that the merchandise was delivered to you.
Exactly
and you did not
what?
return. And it was not returned. But that's not true.
Exactly what
Only
I'm
half-
testifying
if-
here
if
is what
you-
I told
well,
PayPal.
Well, then why wouldn't PayPal say to her, look, we don't know what the dispute is all about, color and everything else, but you're entitled to half your deposit back if you told her you only delivered half the merchandise.
The thing is, 100% of the shirts, there's 3 locations, a front, back, and a sleeve.
Listen.
We have everything's 100%, the sleeves are done. The 72 were printed 100%. We just had 29 shirts remaining, 28 shirts
Yeah,
remaining.
I don't believe you, Mr. Gallagher. She gets her deposit back. Now we're going to get to your counterclaim. Counterclaim is for $5,000 for defamation. So I'd like to see how she defamed you.
So Larissa posted a negative review on Yelp, which
She's allowed to do.
She's allowed to. However, she's not allowed to say that my husband lunged at her and was aggressive. That's
I'd like to see it.
Here you
And
go.
then I'll ask her about it.
And I've also included other reviews from other businesses that she's dealt with where it has the same MO. I spoke to another business owner.
Did Miss Gallagher call you on your cell phone the day afterwards to apologize for her husband's behavior?
She called me that afternoon.
On your cell phone?
I believe it was on my cell phone, yes.
And this happened on April 26th of 2022?
It happened on
No.
April 8th.
Okay, so that would be in your phone log.
Should be, if I still have it.
While she's looking, Miss Gallagher, after this incident, when she came in and had this acrimonious discussion with your husband, which is evidenced in this review, did you call Miss Ehlers?
I did.
you call her?
I did call her.
Okay.
Yes, I
and
did.
that because that she can prove that you called her.
Yes.
Now, after this screaming match that she had with your husband, where she left your premises,
It wasn't
she
a
said,
screaming
just,
match. It
she said that you came down for whatever reason. I'm just asking you things that can be proven.
Right.
What can be proven is after she stormed out that day, you called her the next day. I want to know what you're claiming you said to her the next day.
I gave her a call to smooth the situation over.
Just tell me what you said to her the next day. Hello, it's me from $5 School Tees. It's Sonia.
Okay.
What did you say to her? Be careful.
I don't remember word for word, but what I do remember saying is that I apologize for how everything played out.
Okay. Okay, because there was an incident between the plaintiff and your husband.
Yes.
And you came in. Did you say something to her?
Yeah, I did.
Don't.
I didn't want to talk to her.
No. I think you got into a screaming match with her, and I think that your wife intervened that day, which is why she called her the next day to try to smooth things over. This is not a tea dance. This is not a tea dance.
Larissa Kuala-Ehlers is accusing business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego of ruining her custom T-shirt order. Ernie and Sonia say Larissa left a negative review and defamed them.
Okay, you came in the middle of the dispute.
Yes.
And in the middle of the dispute, to try to calm things down.
Yes.
Because she was screaming at him.
Yes.
And he was screaming at her.
No.
What was he saying to her? She was screaming at him, and what was he doing? Now, just remember, you called her the next day.
I did.
To apologize to her.
Not to her. I called to apologize for the entire situation from beginning to end.
But if what you're telling me is that the only one who was behaving badly was the plaintiff, that's what you're telling me. The only one that was behaving badly was the plaintiff.
She was out of line.
There's no question. There's no question. Actually, she acknowledges in this review.
But that's not the worst part of it.
She acknowledges in this review that she was out of line in screaming.
Yes.
And that's what you came into.
Yes.
So the only thing that you're disputing is that your husband was likewise screaming at her, answered her back.
He was not screaming. He was patient, and he was attempting to work it out with her. The only thing I remember him saying, and I can recall, is him saying, I'm trying to help you. I don't understand why you're acting this way. And I do recall him telling her that she was a bad person because she was...
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, a person can only take so much.
I'm telling you, she says this.
Yes.
In her review. Okay. Now, you want me to look at other reviews that she wrote for a carpet company in 2021.
Yes, and I spoke to the owner.
Shh. Okay, first she complained about a carpet company and the horrible service. They laughed at her and disrespected her. Okay. And then, that was in 2021. That was a year before. Then she posted a review, according to the timeline, in 2015. So 6 years before.
It shows a pattern.
No, a pattern.
Yeah,
a pattern. Three complaints. Three complaints from somebody who lives a life in 6 years.
I have a copy of all of the 5-star reviews.
Okay, and this one said the owner wasn't interested in hearing her complaints. It was over the phone and hung up. That's 2015. Okay, she takes her reviews seriously. Now, you want to show me other reviews?
These are all of the 5-star reviews that I've done as well.
Yeah.
I'm an equal opportunity Yelper.
Just a second. Would you just show this to the plaintiff and make sure she agrees that those are hers, and then I'm going to have you show this to the defendants. Okay. Now show this to Ms. Gallego. All you have to do is look at them quickly.
Yeah.
Well, no, just a second.
Yeah.
You didn't look at them.
Oh, I was reading. Okay.
You don't have to read the whole thing. These are 5-star reviews.
Yes.
Count how many she did.
Yes, I see that there's a good...
So she takes her reviews seriously. It's not a pattern.
Right, but she's aggressive in everyone. Like I mentioned.
No, not aggressive in here.
Well, not in those.
Not
the negative
here.
ones, yes.
Not in here, and 2 of the ones that you gave me were over the phone. If I told you how many times my husband hangs up on people over the phone aggressively.
I understand, but name calling and belittling people and calling him
retarded,
stupid.
Just a second. All unladylike.
She attacked my faith.
Listen to me. That's not what you're talking about, Mr. Gallego. You're talking about a lawsuit for defamation, that she posted something that was false on the internet. And I'm telling you it wasn't false because I think you got into a screaming match with her, and I think that your wife intervened that day, which is why she called her the next day to try to smooth things over.
This is not a tea dance.
This is not a tea dance. You understand? This is not a tea dance. I believe that she did not pick up her shirts. I believe that that's why your wife called her to try to smooth out that, as well as what had happened the day before. She behaved badly.
You're allowing a tyrant to get away with this.
I'm allowing a tyrant to get away with this?
She completely bashed us. She's lying. She picked up her order.
No, I don't believe that.
Your Honor, my reputation, I work with students, I work with teachers, moms. My reputation, I don't advertise.
Just a second.
It's all word of mouth.
She did not pick up her order, sir, even according to you. According to you, she only picked up a partial order. She picked up one box. That's according to you.
That's not what PayPal works. 72 out of 100.
No, I don't. Listen to me. So what you're saying is there were 2 boxes, not in half. The orders were not in half. You filled up one box and only there was a little bit of merchandise left in the second box.
Come back for, yes.
Yeah, I don't believe you, sir.
Because
she gets her refund. She gets her refund. $16.93.
What about
Judgment
all
for
the
the
work that
plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed. We are done here.
This court is adjourned.
She completely dismissed the way she treated us.
She absolutely made the right decision.
I've never dealt with a customer like this in my 25-year history. I went well above and beyond.
They're angry with me because I didn't like their work product.
Our work speaks for itself. Our history speaks for itself. We have clients that have been with us for years, and we'll just continue doing what we're doing.
You always get what you pay for. Make sure you're looking out for where you're doing business.
I really believe that she got aggressive with him when she went to pick up those T-shirts. She acknowledges she got aggressive with him. She says in her Yelp review, sorry to say that she became angry and agitated and started screaming at him, which he doesn't have to tolerate. I do believe that his wife intervened, as she said in her Yelp review, that his wife came in saying to his wife, I'm talking to her, not to you. I can
really heated moment.
I can actually see
visualize
him. I can actually visualize him saying that. The problem is you have to make a judgment. And the judgment really was whether somebody who was aggressive, and she was, who knows her business, knows what she wants, runs a business, had ordered the shirts before, had ordered them for somebody else, was satisfied with the previous order because there was no negative review that they showed from that order. She may have been dissatisfied. She may have had just cause to be dissatisfied. But he lied when she said she picked up the shirts.
Just to prevent her from getting a refund.
From getting her refund. So I didn't believe that, because I don't think that woman would have been here if she had picked up the shirts. She would have been here. She would have said, I want a refund because here are the shirts. It's not what I ordered.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
It's usually not true.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng tô màu bức tranh về một chú chó nhiều lông đang ngồi nhé. Đầu tiên mình sẽ lấy màu xám để tô cho chú chó. Vậy là chúng ta đã hoàn thành xong bức tranh một chú sói. Và đây là thành quả ngày hôm nay. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những video tiếp theo.